Hello and welcome to round 6 of the SRP Top Step V8 Championship live from Oran Park. As always, I'm Mike Bell and here with me tonight is David Carter.
Good evening, it's a great honour to be here tonight. I'm really looking forward to it, really excited, apprehensive as well, and I hope it's going to be great entertainment on the racetrack this evening.
I'm very sure there will be. Yet again, we are at the two 90-kilometre race format. So there'll be a qualifying session, a race, and a small time period, and then another qualifying session and race. So now I'm going to have a quick look at the Spotters Guide before we take you to the on-track action. The antagonists of Strani, Tolborg, and Holm are all present. Tolborg, in continuous trend of driving for a different team each round, he's now driving for Smile Power Racing, and Oscar Hardwick driving for Magenta Warriors this round. Otherwise, there's no real changes from the last couple of rounds. Everybody in top 15. There's actually been a couple of driver changes since this Spotters Guide came out. Andreas Walters stepping in for Sven de Vries, his own team, Walters Automotive. And the YTF1s are driven by Martin Palm and Chris Williamson. So Martin is not around at the moment. Hopefully he'll join us before race 1. And yep, as now we're going to have a look at the driver's standings. If I could switch it over on my screen, I'm actually having a couple of little issues. But at the top is Eric Strani with a 5-point lead back to Jesper Tolborg and Adrian Holm further back in third. There's still 100 points on offer, so technically everyone in the top 6 can still win the championship. But it's really only down to Tolborg, Strani and Holm. But there's a good battle between everyone from like 9th down to 16th. Cannot see, so that's from David Yunt and Danny Asbury down to John Monroe, in fact, in 16th, who was on the broadcast last round. And how that relates to the team's championship, Ice Cold just fair to say Ice Cold are dominating this, but the battle for second is interesting with Dark Skins, PHR, Walk Racing, and Small Power all within 8 points of each other. So hopefully we'll give a good closing. I'm having a couple of issues at the moment, so David, would you be kind enough to talk us around a lap on track?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually on board Lewis Travis's car now, so he's just about to start a lap as we go down the front straightaway here. Keep as close as possible here to the pit lane runway. He's actually coming down to a very difficult left-hand kink, which you have to turn and brake at the same time. Now down towards the Coca-Cola curve, trying to stay as tight as possible. He's hitting a bit of traffic here at the moment. He's going under the Dunlop Bridge into now turn 2, which is, I believe, Shell Corner, as he goes round it. And into the gravel trap, so there we go. He, as I actually worried about, he actually pulled over and went off the track. I'll try and get on board. I believe Chris. Yeah, he's just exited Shell Corner as Adrian Holm, so now he's at turn 3 here. It's a very bumpy corner. Now he's just going over the Dunlop Bridge now into turn 4. And now he's actually approaching now towards the Foster's Dip. Here's a very difficult left-right chicane. Now comes out of that pretty nicely. Now it's a Momo corner here. I believe it's third gear. Goes over the top of that. Now into a very tricky corner itself. The flip-flop. There he goes. A little bit wide there into the gravel trap. Hopefully he'll get out of that nicely. And into the final corner, Recaro corner, which I think he's letting another car through. It's Andy Breeden he's letting through there. And that is a bit of a scruffy lap as he enters the pit lane, but that is a lap of Oran Park.
Yep, and in the races, the driver will have to do that 35 times plus formation lap to get their points. With 30 seconds left before we go into qualifying, the practice timesheets currently show Lewis Travis started that lap on board with for Walk Racing. He's currently the fastest, but under a tenth ahead of Eric Strani, who's again driving an Ice Cold, and just over a tenth ahead of Jesper Tolborg and Adrian Holm. So the championship protagonists are right at the front. with good showings behind from Janko Glavak, Rasmus Salo, Danny Asbury, the returning Matt Richards, and Tobias Olsen just jumps up into 9th ahead of Robert Wiesenmuller running out the top 10.
Yeah, I think as well, with qualifying just approaching now, I think because the lap times are so close, it could literally be almost a lottery of who gets the pole here. But as you say, particularly the top 4, they obviously got the best chance of getting the pole position today. But you might get someone like a Sala or an Asbury being on the pole on the front row, for example. So hopefully it's going well. All the qualifyings have been pretty interesting this season. Hopefully we'll have a bit more of a raffle or a lottery now as we approach qualifying.
Yeah, hopefully. Last time out at Taizo produced one of the closest qualies I think I've ever seen in sim racing, with the top 13 being under 0.4 of a second. So hopefully we'll see that again as we just transfer into the qualifying session now.
As they just leave the pit lane here, I hear a couple of engines come out.
And Lewis Travis is the first one. But Jesper Tolborg overtakes him coming out the pits. Jesper's eager to get onto the track and get a good time in. But,
also, well, it's a very tight lap here, of course, but obviously what I like to do during my sim racing career, I always like to be one of the first few cars out, so you had a better chance of having that first clean lap of clear space out on track. So people like Jesper and Lewis at the moment are in a very, it's almost, you can say, an advantage, and as you see the apex is early and you have to worry about traffic around you at this moment in time.
Well, you say that, but they're going to have to worry about traffic soon, because they're halfway around their lap, and there's still about half the grid in the pit lane at the moment. So they're obviously going to be coming out when these guys are on their way down to turn 1. Hopefully, everyone will get out of the way as Tolborg comes up to start his first flying lap.
And there he is doing his traditional musical chairs. This top set season now joined for Smile Paris. He crossing the line to start his first hot lap. I can't see any traffic in front of him at this stage, but he goes very nicely through the first corner and very, very wide there for the Coca-Cola curve there. He would lose a bit of time there, but at least he gathered it all together and didn't run off track. There's a car in the gravel, which I believe is Andreas Walters in the gravel on the outside of turn 2 there, or the second major corner of this lap. Jesper's being nice. Since that mistake, has been nice and clean and hitting most apexes here. As he's a nice little 4-wheel drift and power oversteer over the Dunlop Bridge. Here he is at the chicane. Quite a sweet lap so far, but obviously he's just coming up towards the flip-flop now, which can make or break your lap around this circuit. Here he comes. There we are, nicely over both curves, straightening it as much as possible. And now at Recaro corner now to finish his lap, and we'll just see where this puts him in retrospect to practice. Comes over line 4.1.
There's Travis behind him is improving though, but he had a poor last sector compared to Jesper, and he goes a fair few tenths down. Adrian Holm was the up on both of these guys, and he made a bit of an error on the chicane.
Asbury there, look at that, just goes a little bit quicker than Tolborg at the moment. So it's always good to set a benchmark that as Asbury runs a little bit wide and almost was a good save actually.
2 tenths up on Asbury after sector 1.
Yeah. But it's always good to get a good banker lap in, obviously, in qualifying, because you don't want to be halfway through the session and think, oh, I've got to find half a second or a second in time. So it's always good to be as on your best pace or as close to your best pace as possible. So being at the top of this stage is never ever a bad thing. So but there's obviously going to be some drivers wanting to improve their position as much as possible. As Jesper's just about to complete his second lap, so I don't know where this is going to put him at the moment.
Yeah, that was a good time by Jesper, but I think he's done a bit of a bad first sector because everybody else seems to be improving on it.
Yeah, it looks like he messed at the middle and the final part of that lap. It looks like there's been because it's such a short lap. It looks like a lot of the drivers are actually doing 2 or 3 laps at this moment in time. Maybe going back into the pits.
Up to 3rd. Oh, and Angwin. Good lap by Angwin. He's up to 4th.
I've just gone forward with Angwin's car, and he's smoking a lot. He must be running a very low radiator on that car at the moment. So pushing the limits of what the engine's going to do at the moment. But he's done a great job at the moment in 4th place with Robert Wiesmuller in 5th. And Travis in 6th place at the moment.
Of course, with no part firme, the drivers couldn't make a pure qualifying setup and obviously change it back for the race. As Base Olsen pops in a good time and puts him in place and only half a second off of the fastest time by Asbury. I've seen 103.8 both in the week of testing and on the server in official free practice, but we have heard as Lewis Travis goes up to 4th, have heard that there have been rumours of a 103.5 by certain drivers. So we'll wait to see if that comes true, and if they are, then everyone's going to have to step it up to beat them. I just saw someone on a pretty decent lap. But the Lazarus Kayoglu is oh no, sorry, my bad, the timing messed up. It showed me as he was 0.05 off of Danny Asbury, but not in fact, now 3 seconds off as he goes across the Rasmus Salo very low as well. Only 20th, he must have made a huge mistake on his lap.
Yeah, Salo's only done 1 lap so far, and obviously it was a very slow lap, so he'll be wanting to push on from this and make sure his 2nd or 3rd lap will be put him right in the mix. There's still a few cars, like Eric Tveit hasn't been out on track at all yet, David Junt has not been out on track at all yet, so they will...
Olm goes provisional pole.
Those two will obviously want to mix things up later on in the session, but yeah, as you say, Adrian Holm goes provisionally on pole by almost a 10th and a half.
Into 6th.
Oh yeah, and Salo, as I said, Salo does go up to that position 6, 3/10 off a pole at the moment, so shown the improvement he needed to do at this stage and puts him right back in the mix on the front end of the top end of the field.
Walter's cars, both relatively last minute stand-ins. Andreas Walters there standing in for Sven de Vries very last minute when Ben was unable to race. So he's able to just show up out here, take a step that normally a lot of people wouldn't do and just get in the car themselves and just have a crack at it. But good shout out to him. Further back in the field, there's a number of people improving, one of which is Victor Silva, 19th. He's again a relatively last minute stand-in at experienced GP. So he's still 4/10 up as Eric Strani now takes the provisional pole. First person to the 103s this session.
And we also got Danny Asbury up in 4th position as well. His teammate Janko Glavak, I'm a bit surprised at him.
Glavak's on a brilliant lap though. He's under a 10th behind Eric Strani coming out of the final corner.
I was going to say, it's unlike him being so low down, he only goes up to 9th at the moment. I think he did a little mistake at the final corner. Recaro, as Asbury, Glavak's teammate Asbury goes up into 2nd with almost exactly the same lap time as the pole sitter Eric Strada, so that's going to be... Asbury must be kicking himself by only missing out on 1,000th of a second there, but you know, it's a short lap, that sort of thing happens
up on Strani after Sector 1, he's currently 5th, but he's got the high-speed cars in front. That is Danny Asbury as a marker for the rest of the lap, so maybe we'll see Jesper get a little bit faster than Eric over the full lap. But goes through the game now, up towards the Sector 2 split, which is just after this corner. Tidy from Jesper so far. He's a 10th down, but still going to improve on his own time. A good last sector, he could regain that time he lost in Sector 2. At the final corner now, good exit, runs out right to the wall. And
that's more like it.
Barely loses height to Eric Strani. And Eric Strani and Danny Asbury, exactly a 1,000th apart, my mistake. A 103.982 for Strani, and Asbury on a 103.983. Holm as well within half.
I was going to say shades of last event almost with the last event first time qualifying, because the times are so close to each other at the moment. It's almost ridiculous, but
almost
at the moment half a 10th separates the top 4 at the moment, which is...
I'm just looking back, and Salo's improving, Travis is improving, Glavak is improving. So that half a 10th could be joined by several other drivers. Matt Richards is improving further back, as is Van Navarro. So by no means is this the set order.
That's it, and still we've got for children.
That's someone out on track for the first time lap. Strani's up on his time.
And Salo's joined in the half a tenth club, as I'm going to call it. The top 5 now separate by half a tenth. Salo improving up to 4th. You're always going to keep getting this sort of almost, as I said, almost a lottery of you don't know which one's going to pop
up on his time. Traffic in the form of Kayaglu, Silva,
and spins
there. Hopefully that won't affect him too much, but it's bound to have done because he's gone way offline coming off. Back, nobody seems to be by any real amount. There's a number of people that are pretty much equal to their own sector splits further back, but no one really improving. Oh, Jesper Tolborg. Sorry, that's him coming out starting another lap. My timing's messed up. So no one improving at the moment.
You get this in a lot of sessions.
Hardwick almost spun it.
Yeah, a lot of the session, a lot of times you see this part of the session that a lot of people they're trying to improve, but most of the time you find last 2 to 3 minutes of the session you still see people really putting in their banker laps. At this time, I've just noticed that half a second covers the top 10 at the moment, with Robert Beeson being in 10th at the moment. So obviously very close at that part of the grid at this moment in time.
Definitely, and it's not out at all. I mean, there's several people improving on their laps that will probably put them inside the that half a second bubble. B.S. Olsen is he's up on his time. He's just gone through sector 2, lost a bit of time, but that could get real gain back in sector 3. Jonathan Ockerclint improves by half a second to put him into 15th. Lap there from Jonathan. His racing then is qualifying. Hopefully he's going to have to pull out a good performance in both.
My name I didn't know it's in the top 10. I don't know how much practice he's actually done for this event, but he's halfway down in 12th at the moment, so he'd be quite disappointed.
He improves.
He'd be quite
Travis improves to 5th.
Oscar would be quite disappointed with that at the moment. He'd be looking to improve by 2 to 3 tenths. He does need to find a lot, but I think if he ended up this first qualifying in 12th place, he'd be quite disappointed with that as it stands. There's obviously still a few minutes to go, so anything can happen.
I know that Oscar will be qualifying back that far, but he also hates the track, and of course this track been demolished in real life. Oscar's, though not a fan of it being demolished, he said it couldn't have happened to a nicer place, which a bit too far of him, but that's Oscar for you.
That's him in a nutshell.
Get back to the times. Seems like a number of people have their laps on improvement in style. Can't find anyone who's up on their lap at the moment. This Travis now, he's very close, but he's spun it in sector 3, so that's not improvement. Oscar Hardwick, very close to his sector 1 time again, but he's going to need to be beat to get anywhere forward on the grid. Bob Taplin is 2 thousandths up on himself. He's currently, if he can improve by a couple of tenths, which he's done so in the middle sector, that could catapult him up the order. Those 2 Walk Racing cars, they look, they're not often separated, so they're going to be lonely being this far apart as Taplin moves up into 15th.
Also noticed Salo and Travis have set exactly the same lap time. I just noticed that. So there's now 6 cars within half a tenth of a second in this qualifying session. We've only just got under 2 minutes to go now, so people will be maybe fine-tuning their setups to get the maximum out of the car for their final runs here in the first qualifying session.
Certainly is. Robert Wiesenmuller is very close to Eric Strani, sector 1. He's up on himself. He's currently down in 11th, which Robert will be a bit disappointed with, to be honest. I mean, he's been out-qualified by his teammate David Yunt. So Rob's going to hopefully be looking to step it up through this middle sector, but if he can keep a rate of improvement, he will jump David Yunt. That's how close it is. They're only up by not even half a tenth, but that half a tenth will be enough to move him up, I think, places. Yep, 2 places. It'll move him into 9th. Goes through now the flip-flop. He's a full tenth and a half up. This is going to fire him up the grid. That's how close it is. Coming around the final turn. Won't be affected by any traffic, but that wouldn't have helped. Get a little bit sideways. In fact, yeah, he lost a fair amount of time and doesn't improve his position due to it. Ivan Navarro's up again in the mate to Adrian Holm in the Sharkskins car. He's 15th, but he had a bit of an awful chicane, so that's probably going to have lost him a lot of time, and indeed it has. Over a second lost.
There's some people who are definitely not going to qualify, and one of those is Ben Hackerson. He's still in the pits. He hasn't set a single lap time, and nor is Eric Tavite. He is also still stuck in the pits, but just 25 seconds of this session to go, and everyone just complete their final laps and pushing it to the absolute limit and possibly beyond as well for some of the people. But let's keep an eye out, because those lap times will be tumbling as I speak, most likely.
There's 6 seconds for everyone to cross the line, I believe. Yes, Jonathan Ockerklin is going to be the last person to come across the line to finish his lap. But Hardwick is going to be the first people, as Tolborg is apparently improving. He's up on Strani. He's coming through the final turn now. Strani improved? No, he hasn't. Tolborg across the line improves and takes provisional pole for Smile Power Racing. If he can hold that, that's the second event in a row where Smile Power have a pole, because of course Harley Hamlet took it last time.
At the top of the
standing. Lewis Travis.
Fantastic.
Lewis Travis says no to another Smile Power pole position. Max finished his lap. Who's the next couple of people to come across? That's Olsen and Navarro. 2 of them are up on their time. Although Van beats his last sector, so good job on Van there. Person across the line is going to be Andy Breeden, who is around about 2 tenths down on his own time. Doesn't improve either. Matt Richards next. Not going to improve. I believe the only other person out there is Ockerklint, and he's down on his time. So I believe he'll pull in pits now. He does, and that's the session over. So Lewis Travis takes the pole for Wolf Racing. Vastly improved performance from the last couple of rounds, where the low end of the top 10. Joined on the front row by Jesper Tolborg, so Power at the front again. Eric Strani and Danny Asbury again qualifying 4th, and only a 10th off of pole. He's got to be thinking, what have I got to do to get on that front row? And behind them is going to be Rasmus Salo and Adrian Holm. So Holm back in 6th, behind his 2 championship rivals. Going to have some work to do. It's Janko Glavak in 7th in the second high speed. The Airstreams of Richards and Anglin. Anglin up there in 9th. Then Junt qualifying Wiesenmuller, that's 10th and 11th for the THRs, and Tobias Olsen, 12th for one-on-one. Hardwick, a disappointing 13th for me.
Yeah, Hardwick won't be too happy with that, but I've got to congratulate Lewis Travis right away now. He's been looking quite sharp from the practices I've seen him do, and I thought, oh, he's going to be up there. You know, I had the feeling he'd be up there tonight, but I didn't think he'd be on the pole position, I must be brutally honest, so I can congratulate him for proving me wrong, and wish him all the best for the race. But yeah, really interesting qualifying there, and I think any one of the top 5 or 6 cars can easily win this race. They've just got that sort of natural ability, that natural pace they have to win the race. But yeah, it's going to be really exciting, I think. And also people like Robert and Oscar Hardwick there will try and come up through the field as best they can. So they're 2 guys that I'd be watching as well, see if they come up through the field. And also Eric Tavite and Gary Lennon as well, starting at the very back of the field. So it's going to be quite a interesting first race, I believe.
Yeah, definitely got to watch out for Eric Tavite, because even though last, he has a way of making up several places early on in the race. I mean, he has brilliant starts which can contribute, but his driving style just makes places fall into his lap. So challenging around maybe the top 10 or top 8 or so come later on in the race, but I don't know, it's going to be really difficult to pick a winner, because I think anybody in kind of like the top 6 is capable of winning this race. I mean, for Rasmus Salo, he needs to his aggressive form up to pass everyone in front of him, and then just hopefully get to the end in one piece. Travis is just going to have to defend for his life. Tolborg's just going to drive as he always does and just try and get an okay start and then put everyone in front under pressure. Same with Strani. Danny Asby's going to hopefully be looking to go forward on the grid. So there is a reference there of 2 years ago. And Adrian Holm has just got to be hoping just to get past everybody as quick as he can and run away.
That's it as well. The thing is about this Oran Park circuit, to me, this is every lap is a challenge because you've got a lot of off-camber corners here. There's a lot of places where you can easily get it wrong, particularly in the first, the flip-flop and the first corner in particularly at the start of the race. So don't be surprised if you see even some of the front runners or the fancied drivers you think, oh, they're going to win, and it could very easily get it wrong, particularly the Coca-Cola corner on the first few laps where the tyres are still a little bit cold. But it's going to be an intriguing race. There's always been some great racing here for various reasons in the past, and yeah, I think we're going to have a great event tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, turn 1 and turn 2, they are often the scene of a couple of accidents, so hopefully everyone will get through there in one piece. We have a slightly smaller grid than normal in the form of only 28 people, which is the smallest grid of the season, but hopefully the smallest grid of the season means the least incidents since turn 1, and everyone was very clean at Townsville in the 2 starts that weren't affected by, you know, either the server settings being wrong or a bug in the track. So hopefully we can see the same again.
Yeah. The problem is with turn 1 and turn 2 to start with, of course, because you got that kink in the middle of the braking zone. You're sort of turning and steering at the same time. Of course, that sometimes, particularly in a tight pack of cars, it's very easy to sort of wash out wide and have a little bit of contact, and that sometimes you can see multiple cars end up in a gravel trap on the outside and getting their buckets and spades out, so to speak, and have a nice little trip through the gravel. But yeah, it's going to be, I think it'd be action packed. Don't be surprised if particularly at the start of the race you get 2 or 3 cars or multiple car pilots
Eric Devite in the gravel,
as Eric Devite demonstrates my point quite effectively there as he entered the gravel. It's a little bit of a nudge from one of the THR
that was
cars
young.
at the same time. So yeah, it's going to be some entertainment. So we only got just short of a minute left of this walk session to go. Any predictions for you, Mike, on who's going to win?
Let's go with Tolborg. He's driving a small power car. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I think personally, I think Dran's going to win this race herself, being from P3. I think it's just, of course, there'd be most likely be pits. Some people want to do pit stops as well. Some people will try and hang out for the whole of the 35 laps here. So don't forget, difference, as we've seen all season, there's different strategies for these sprint races as well. So hopefully that will chop and change things, the order and the way the race progresses as well.
Almost certainly, because I mean, I know there are some people on this grid that are going to be trying their best for the no stop. I'd imagine the majority are one stopping, but if those people that can no stop can keep out of trouble early on, they could easily pick up some places through the pit window. As Danny Asbury's just hit Oscar Hardwick in the pit lane, which isn't good, and everyone now is going to be doing their last practice start as we're going to the race very shortly.
It's going to be a 29 car grid here today, which is a bit smaller than normal, but that doesn't mean to say it's going to be boring by any stretch of the matter. It's going to be, because of particularly the way that this racetrack is, being so tight and so technical, it's going to be ideal for very exciting racing, maybe possibly a few moments as well. But as we go into the race session, where all the cars will get prepared for the formation lap. So here they are coming to the grid now. Lewis Travis on that pole position with Tolberg dead alongside him. I say so, side-by-side grid here, of course, and
arguably Tolberg's going to have the third line into turn 1, because obviously a wide entry to the tight apex. Carry a bit more speed through there. Is we have a couple of seconds left. We've had some people who have unfortunately grid. That's Joshua Anderson, who's lost, and also Andy Breeden. Yeah, he hasn't made it to the grid for Cosmo, so bad luck for those guys. Maybe Breeden start from the pit lane, but there's Gary Lennon holding back. trying to give himself some room as far away from people as possible. One of the people who joined right at the end of qualifying, he at the time along with Ben Hackerson. Those two electing to start from the rear of the grid. Eric DeVite starting in front of them, 26th. Chris Waters, 25th. His debut in very late decision to jump into the car from him. Gloria Kalin returning for Cosmo. He's starting 24th behind Lazarus Kayaglu from Zurich. 22nd is Chris Williamson for YTF1, the sole YTF1 car on the grid with their other car missing. Victor Silva, 21st. Good job as a last minute stand-in for Experience, making his debut. Andy Breeden in the pit lane in 20th for Cosmo. Then Kenny Liebert is 19th in the Wolf car. Let's see what he can do now in his debut. The person that's successful in especially open wheel racing, so we'll see how he does in heavy tin tops. Ahead of him is Roy Virgile in the other Experience car. Dalton Ockerklint, 17th for Optimum. Rob Taplin, 16th and way behind his Volt Racing teammate. 15th is Ivan Navarro, good qualifying from him. 14th, Anders Nilsson in the other Optimum. 13th is Oscar Hardwick, disappointing qualifying for Magenta Warriors. B.S. Olsen with a good qualifying in 12th for 1-on-1. Albert Wiesemuller 11th for THR. David Yunt 10th in the other THR. Kevin Angwin 9th in the Airstream, behind Matt Richards. Then Janko Glavak 7th for High Speed. Adrian Holmes 6th for Sharkskins. 5th is Rasmus Salo for 1-on-1. Danny Asbury 4th. Eric Strani 3rd. Jesper Tolborg 2nd. And Lewis Travis on the pole for Walk Racing.
I believe the lights are just about to go on now, and
yep, they're on.
Here we go. Is the lights coming on now?
And they're
away
off.
They go.
Tolborg gets a better start than Travis. That's unusual. Tolborg goes into the lead off the start. Eric Strani with a brilliant start behind. He's up to 2nd already. Can he challenge Tolborg into turn 1? Looks like he's trying to. As Holmes up to 4th, so a good start there. Asbury has gone backwards, unfortunately. He's down to 5th as Richards and Salo side by side. Another bit of bump and run on over 6th and 7th. His positions changed left, right, and centre. Hardwick already up to 10th. Brilliant start from him. The head of Angwin. Yunt's fallen down a bit. That's Roy Virgile. He's up 5 places from the start already. He's up to 13th and trying to go around the outside of Yunt and Olsen at the same time, and he's done it across the bridge. Roy Virgile, very impressive start. As they're all being shuffled out wide, but at the front, Tolborg trying to break away from Eric Strani as soon as he can. There's 2/10 of a gap, but Travis is going to be right on them, and we saw qualifying he has better outright speed. And Adrian Holm, already up to 4th, is just going to work together with Lewis Travis. Of course, these two recently were signed for the same team, so they'll be working together to try and potentially get past Eric Strani and Jesper Tolborg.
That's right, a great pass at the final corner from Solo. He muscled his way past Matt Richards there into the final corner. Now Matt's trying to fight his way because they go into the kink. And Coca-Cola curve side by side. Oh, a little bit of rubbing there. Matt goes wide and into the,
here comes Glavak.
Grass.
Glavak's taken advantage. He's gone up to 6th past both of them, but Salo's still got the inside. Whereas Richards rejoined. He's back down in 10th, just ahead of his teammate Angwin. And there's a position change at the front as Holm tries to get up the inside of Lewis Travis, and he's done it as they cross the bridge. That's for 3rd place. Adrian Holm right now onto the back of Eric Strani. These two, both championship contenders, along with Jesper Tolborg, so it's the top 3 who are fighting out for both the race win and the championship at this point.
The only incident of note in the first lap was Kayaglu lost his front bumper very early on.
Olsen and Virgile side by side. Olsen makes the move, but Virgile's looking to try and get back in, but Virgile's got a wheel on the grass going into the flip-flop. He wisely backs out of that one as there's a position change up ahead. That's Hardwick up to 8th. Passes Wiesemuller in the THR. Hardwick on a storm up towards the front of the grid. As in front of him is Glavak and then Salo. Gap for the lead, 7/10 of a second between Tolborg and Strana, with 1.2 seconds to Adrian Holm. And that's just increased to 1.4 after the first sector, but Travis and Asbury are right with him. There's a bit of a gap opening up back to Salo and Glavak and Hardwick, and then everybody else right in behind. Virgile's still attacking Olsen, 14th and 13th. He's got the inside, but Olsen closes the door. Navarro sat in 15th, must be thinking, hey look, I'm going to get more points if these two make a mistake. Obviously Ivan, he's one of the people who are a bit lower in the championship, just looking for a couple of points and a good time, and he must be getting that right now.
That's it. He's right on the edge of the. He's got Anders Nilsson right behind. But yeah, Oscar Harbour with a tremendous opening couple of laps there. He's right up there. He's made about 5 places to my knowledge.
Speaking of people who've made up places, Eric Tveit looking to the inside of Kenny Lightbeer for 18th place. Tveit started last, or not last, but next to last, and he's side of Lightbeer as they're going to come up to turn 1. Tveit's going to have that 18th position.
I don't know. He's halfway alongside at the moment. Here we go.
Lightbeer's gone off.
Wide onto the grass. He's going to go off. Digging sandcastles into their gravel trap, and he's going to rejoin.
Hackison as well. Oh, Hackison!
Just
almost into the memorabilia banners for Sergio Marquez, who unfortunately passed away. One of the people who have memorial banners at this track, the other one being Eric Plimmer, who a lot of people on SRP knew, good friends with. Both of them sad losses. Sure that if they were in this race, they'd be enjoying themselves.
That's right. I'm sure that if they was watching this, that the living what they see, particularly at the front of the field at the moment, where the top 3 are separated by just over a second as they cross the line.
Almost close that gap in the 3rd sector. Someone has a home fastest lap of the race, so he's trying to dispatch Strani as soon as possible so that Tolborg doesn't run away with this. I'm being told that I'm saying Eric Strana's name wrong, so I apologise for that. We'll try and keep it in mind to say it correctly for the future. We have broken away from Lewis Travis and Danny Asbury. We're starting to fall back to Salo and Asbury's teammate Glavac, so 4th to 7th could be a battle very soon.
I'm sure it looks like the top 3 are just pulling away. I think I know what Jesper's plan is here, to just keep the gap just keep a stable gap to 2nd and 1st place guys here, and just maintain the tyres as best as possible, because I know he's one that is better at saving the tyres than Strana and Holm in general. So we see a little bit of a lock-up, I believe, there from Strana, or just running wide onto the gravel at the flip-flop, but as they cross the line again.
One for the final corners from Lazarus Kayaglu, just if anyone was interested, out from any of the. And Kayaglu himself is off in turn 1 here, so hopefully he won't rejoin when the lead is high.
He's lost his front bumper again, and I think he's going to be struggling getting his way back on track. But he found an entry back in.
Oh, Virgil's 13th and 14th. He's tagged Olsen. Olsen's around, Virgil's around. They're both in the thick gravel. It's going to take them a bit of a heave-ho to get out, and they're both out, 17th and 18th, and now they're on their way again. Good sport from Virgil for waiting after that incident.
I saw the replay as well, and Virgil ran wide going through the kink, and he just got his wheels onto the grass and couldn't stop the car and just give a little bit of a tap to the back of Tobias Olsen's car and spun around. And they're still side by side. That's it, they're still trying
Virgil's
to fuel it out. The position for Virgil is passed. Virgil is passed. Let's go over the Dunlop
Also
bridge.
makes a little mistake.
That's correct, and Ben Hackison's in the pits for reasons that I'm not quite sure about.
Jess Waters in the middle of a field, just rejoining now as past him goes Glavac to put a lap on him. Got now Hardwick and Co coming up behind him. Hardwick's in 8th, and he's kind of been on his own ever since he passed the Airstreams and the THRs. But the Airstreams and THRs have paired off. There's reasonable under pressure from Richards, that's for 9th and 10th, and Anglin under pressure from Yunt, that's for 10th and 11th, so that's a good inter-team battle. As someone's lost it, that's David Yunt almost into the wall, going under the bridge. Personally, I've been in that wall myself in one of these things. Race doesn't tend to go on for much longer after you've done that.
Oh, I remember that well actually, and yeah, I just saw. I think
there's a pass further back. That's Richards went past Wiesenmuller and then went off. So Wiesenmuller next. And actually, we've been told it's not Richards. It was Angwin who just disappeared for a quick second. But they're all back now as they're all flip flop. Back up at the front.
Strana and Holber. Nose to tail here as they go up towards
less than a 10th of a second, and Holm's gone for the move here. He needs to get it done now because Tolborg's built up a 9/10 of a second lead. Holm needs to get past Strani and then close down and pass. Remaining 27 laps.
I mean, it's a long way to go, but at this stage, what I'd be trying to do, obviously, they're probably not talking to each other at this stage, but should try and work together and keep the tyres as much as possible. I mean, Holm probably
Junt's
go
past
a lot
Angwin.
faster.
That's for 11th and 12th. THR moves up, Airstream moves down. Olsen's round again, that's not going well. Virgil's found his way back behind Olsen and Ockerklin, so maybe he'll close up and that battle will be reinstated. As Kenny Liebert, he's in the gravel trap in turn 1. Down now to 23rd. When he went off, he was in 20th. Drops now down to the last place for anyone on the lead lap as he gets passed by Chris Williamson, doing a solid job. It's actually a pretty decent battle. The first 22nd, 20th. That's Lennon, Silva, and Callan, who are just separated a little bit now after some mistakes. But back in the pack, there's a battle, and there's an off. Tobias Olsen, 19th. He's in the wall again. He has no front wing. No front wing, no front bumper. Have a look on the replay how that happened. He just lost the rear end going through that section, bang into the wall. Not good for Olsen. But speaking of Olsen, his teammate Rasmus Salo, he's doing a good job up in 6th. He's operating the 2 high-speed cars. Haven't really closed up on each other. This battle stayed the same sort of distance apart for the entire race thus far.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Asbury's dropped back a bit from the start, still in P5. He's still keeping in touch with Travis. You can just about see him up the road there. But Glavak's done a decent job getting P7. I believe he's P9 or P10 on the grid. But yeah, he's done a good job, and he's with the sort of pack, if you can call it a pack, with Travis, Asbury, Salo, and himself running right there to go through the final corner now. Just having a look through the pack, and it's some little groups still. There's a decent one between Nilsson, Tveit, and Taplin, all running up towards the flip-flop now as I speak. That's about for 14th, 15th, and 16th place. And
they're not too far behind Navarro. Battle for second. They're side by side coming out of turn 2 into turn 3. Holmes trying to go around the outside of Strand. He breaks later. You have to drive around the outside. Strand is going to have the inside of the next corner as well. So they're still side by side. Holmes got his nose in front, but Strand has the inside. And it's going to be the same for the next couple of corners. They're all right-handers around this section. Holmes ducks in behind and tries to get back out on the other side, which he's done, so he's got an overlap. Force his nose in and force Strand to miss his apex by just a little bit. Holmes could be passed. But now he's all over the back of him. Not going to make a move into the flip-flop. That would just be crazy. Likely end in tears for both parties, but the flip-flop great for setting up dives into the last corner, which Holm doesn't do. Get a good run out and get past into turn 1.
Oh, it's been an incident as well between Floria Callan and Victor Silva for P23, P24. I'm just checking the replay to try and see what happened.
Well, those guys are still sat on the exit of turn 2 as the leaders are coming around. Looks like they've got going again now. So Callan have Tolborg in his rearview mirrors very soon, and hopefully he'll get out of the way instead of playing a part in how this race is decided.
And Travis is making his way up to the back.
Yeah, Strani's defending.
Strand, as they're battling away. Travis is trying. I think he's going to be bringing along Asbury and Salo for company as well. So this battle for second place could be quite intriguing in a few laps' time.
Further back, we've got 8th place Oscar Hardwick and 9th place Robert Wiesenmuller. Both of these guys wouldn't have been too pleased with their qualifying. Now they're running in the lower ends of the top 10. Both of who will. This will probably be happy for them. Obviously, going to look for more places later on in the race. They've got a big gap up in front to go back, and Richards ain't too far off the back of them. And neither is Junt, and Angwin is a little bit further behind them as well. And then a big gap back to Navarro, Nilsson, Tveit, and Rob Taplin. He's dropped down to 16th and dropped off the back of this battle since we last saw him. He's not on his actual preferred wheel because it broke for him at some point while testing this. So he's driving on a PS2 pad, and you can really see how that's hurting him because Taplin, normally very consistent top 10 runner, running down in 16th, and is over 26 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, so the front runners now.
Wiesenmuller passes Hardwick for 8th. Still on the inside, and the move isn't done yet. As Hardwick cuts back, that's an epic cutback.
Pass
and here comes Richards as Wiesenmuller gets sideways. Richards looking to stuff it down the inside as well. 3 goes. No, he doesn't. Wiesenmuller gets on the power. Wiesenmuller, Richards side by side, both behind Hardwick. The next corner is going to have the advantage to Wiesenmuller, but Richards gets around it. A small bit of contact, Richards runs wide, Wiesenmuller goes through. Here comes Junt. Junt looking to the inside of the flip-flop, and he's done it. Junt's made that move stick. So 2 THRs in the top 10. Maybe that was a bit of a bit of contact from Riesenmuller that sent Richards wide. I'm going to have a little look at it on my own replay. But if so, that could maybe be a penalty coming from Rob for a bit of a bump and run. Though it's a bit weird. They're both kind of, the cars are overlapping and Rob a bit later on the brake. So yeah, that was indeed a bump and run on Richards. So that's unfortunate there for both parties. David Junt's taking advantage and he's up into 10th.
That's right, in it for a case of Richards this moment, it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back, trying to take the advantage that Oscar's brilliant pass on Robert, very opportunistic that was, and Matt was trying to take the same opportunism, but unfortunately with the little tap that Riesenmuller gave through the,
it's just enough, yeah.
It was just enough to unsettle the back of Matt's car, and he went wide, and David used again. Great. Here we go. Actually, side by side as I speak. Actually, Matt Richards and David Junt there as they go through the flip flop side by side.
Richards has got the inside of the exit. Junt keeps his foot in. Very impressive from Junt to defend, but Richards is going up the inside. And Junt's able just to break a little bit later and cut across the front of Richards and stop him getting any advantage from getting a tighter line in. There's a change. Oh, that's Danny Asbury. Danny Asbury's gone off from 4th. He's back on in 7th. Danny Asbury off from 5th, my mistake. But come back on in 7th, was lucky to stay out of the gravel trap there. And he's got a big gap back to Hardwick, so he's need to get on after his teammate Glavak and Rasmus Salo.
And still got Strona and Holmes still. Well, the gap's grown a little bit. Gaps opened up. Jesper's pulled away because of the wobbling earlier on. It's now up to nearly 2 seconds now. They're coming up to lap traffic. Yeah, I can see Kenny Libera ahead and Chris Williamson.
Yep, it's Chris Williamson and Tobias Olsen. They're having a 3-way battle there for 20th. There's Olsen going sideways with a bit of damage. Williamson actually goes past him as, unfortunately, Olsen appears to have lagged out. He's just appeared and he's gone through the barrier somewhere else. Oh, Carlin is get tapped around by one of the leaders there. Olsen's back, but I was just looking behind. Carlin and Victor Silva both spun out, so that was unfortunate for the 8th place group who had to come up and lap them. Hardwick's still under attack from Riesenmuller though, as Olsen does indeed lag out.
Yeah, it's a disconnect there for Tobias Olsen. That might have been the.
Jesper Tolborg's got a fun view. Kenny Libera and Chris Williamson going side by side across the bridge. Those two, neither of them will want to give any room to the other, but they both need to get out of Tolborg's way, as they do indeed both get out of the way at the same corner. Good job by those two, and now they're going to have Strani and Holm coming up behind them. I would estimate coming through the final corner as Strani flashes his lights to warn them that they're coming as Bear moves over. Williamson doesn't yet, so he's going to move over on the straight or going into turn 1, as he does.
As we're just starting lap 16, if people are going to make pit stops, it will be just in the next few laps if they are planning to pit. So we're on the 16th lap here now, so obviously some people a bit further back as Williamson's in the gravel.
Oh, Richards does pit as you say that. Richards into the pits from 11th. He's got a huge gap as through goes Angwin in 12th. Then back to Navarro and Nilsson at Tveit pits as well. Tveit with an early stop.
Keeping an eye on Matt's pit stop here as he's in the pit.
Gets shuffled
keeping
up.
the car tight on the time because he's battling with the 2 THR cars, of course.
Yep, they were both. He was right behind both of them. So
that was about 11
actually
seconds.
closed in on Riesenmuller.
As Eric Tveit also pits as well from a bit further back.
Tveit was 15th when he pits. Place to Gary Lennon, as does Richard. So Richard's is going to come out behind Lennon. Hopefully we'll dispatch Lennon pretty quickly due to the tyres. There's someone off in the gravel. That is Chris Williamson, who like he's stuck quite deep in there, but he's actually got out now.
And Travis is in the pits now, so the Salo and Glavak go past the pit lane. Lewis Travis is the only one of the front runners to make a pit stop on this.
Right on the back of Strani. He's looking for the run off of turn 2. He doesn't quite get it, but way Holmes' car's acting as he's on the inside. Through he goes. Eric Strani's going to need to try and stick out around the outside of the next 4 corners to have a chance, but Holm just says nope and drives past Strani, and he now has to close up a 2.5 second lead to Jesper Tolborg, which, well, Holm's sideways. Strani is going to have a look for an overtake on on home if he wants any shot of winning this race. But the more these two battle, the more Tolborg pulls away.
Yeah, that's right. As Adrian would look to put the hammer down now as to Tolborg, of course. But yeah, there's obviously Strana's obviously going to try and pass him. But I just kept approaching the start finish straight now. So Jesper's in. Jesper Tolborg is into the pits now. And Holm and Strana is also in the pits now. So this it looks like most people.
Oh, and Salo and Glavak right behind each other going into the pits. Glavak almost got cleaned up by Asbury as he was braking.
Pit lane.
Danny Asbury leads the race. That's
oh, he's gone
Danny
off!
Asbury's off! Danny Asbury off from the lead. Curse of the commentator. He's in the gravel trap. If he can get out of that, I'll be impressed in one shot.
And Oscar Hardwick's off as well. He's followed him.
Oh yes,
it's going
Hardwick.
Side castles. It's smashed into the wall. Oh, Oscar! I cannot believe that. But there's also a squabble in the pit
out of the race.
Glavak was trying to come out of this pit box, and Robert's trying to go in. So there's a real squabble.
Salo out in 9th, Glavak out in 10th, as they're both being passed by Taplin as Oscar Hardwick leaves the game. That must have been a horrific thing going on in his head to make him miss the first turn that badly. But Danny Asbury now leads the race ahead of David Yunt, and Evan Navarro in 3rd, who can assist his teammate Adrian Holm any way he can, because he's right in front of Jesper Tolborg, and if he holds Tolborg up, then Holm could catch up. And Holm has pulled out a relatively big gap on Strani in the pit window, 6/10 or so.
And also Glavak.
In fact, it's more than that. I'm looking at the wrong gap. It's about 1.5 seconds.
And Glavak also pulled a big gap from Robert
Asbury pits
during the pit stop, as you say. Asbury pits. David Yunt now leads the race. Now for THR, so
Richards and Wiesenmuller all over the back of Rijal. That's for 11th. Richards and Wiesenmuller have pitted. Rijal has not, and Rijal's maybe closed this battle up a little bit. Asbury is just about leaving the pit. No, he's not actually leaving the pits. He's lost a lot of time, obviously, because he went off in turn 1. But he should keep hold of 10th quite easily. Wiesenmuller and Richards are only just going across the line, as Rijal does indeed pit.
Oh, and Holm down the inside of Tolborg, as you predicted, Navarro is holding up Tolborg here. And there's also a bit of contact there as they go over the Dunlop Bridge. Tolborg must be.
Oh, here comes Strani as well.
Now. And Strana's tagging along now to join this little bit of a squabble here. The fists are almost coming out here as we're approaching now the flip-flop.
They must hope.
Oh,
it's Navarro sideways.
He lost the back end.
He's going to have to back out of this, otherwise he could risk taking Holm out, as he does back out of it indeed. Through goes Holm, through goes Strana, through goes Tolborg. As David Yunt pits, so these guys will re-inherit the lead of the race, but 4/10 of a second at the last split between the 3 championship protagonists. Ideally, we want Holm to pass Tolborg to make this championship as close as possible going into Bathurst, but obviously Tolborg doesn't want that to happen. He wants the gap back to Strana to take the lead.
That's right.
He will do, given this result.
And down the inside now goes Holm into turn 2. That's a great bit of paint rubbing there, but that's a great fair manoeuvre there from Adrian Holm. Tolborg given space as well. But great to see there. And,
looking back a little bit, Jonten Ockeklinth has smashed into a wall. He was one of the people that was on the one-stop strategy. He's currently 6th. Looking back on my replay just to see what happened, it was in fact Andreas Waters was entering pits, and Ockeklinth didn't get out of the way in time, so Ockeklinth there really messing up his one-stop strategy, and he's up in 7th currently. That one-stop would have put him in a good position to score some nice points.
That's right, he's also got looks like a front right puncher or front left puncher, one of the two. He's definitely got a puncher one way or the other. Looks like a front right to me, and yeah, he's getting out of the way for most people now. He's going to be really struggling to get that car back in the pits, and there's Kevin Angwin coming up behind him now, so he should approach with a little bit of caution through the flip-flop. That's it, Ockeklinth gets out of the way.
Ockeklinth moves out of the way.
But Holm also now pulling away from Tolborg, now ever so slightly, but it's still very close between the 3 of them, as this battle is going to...
Oh, Wiesenmuller and Yunt, Richards and Yunt. Richards dives to the inside, doesn't quite make the move stick, but Yunt's actually staying out those couple of laps. He's jumped into 7th place from, I believe, 10th before the pit window. So that's good from Yunt, as Ockeklinth does indeed pit. I believe he was the only one on a one-stop strategy because I think everybody else is pitted, but I'm not 100% sure. And sorry, on a no stop. But yeah, Strane trying past Tolborg. As it is, Strane will retain the lead of the championship, but he's gonna want to pull away instead of have Tolborg gain on it. But I think that as long as Holm doesn't make a mistake, Holm, with the pace he's showing, with the fastest lap after fastest lap earlier on in the race, now he's on fresh tires again. He may very well win this race, but then it's going to be Tolborg either closing in on Strane or Strane pulling away from Holm in the overall championship. And Holm going to close in on both of them, but we do indeed have a second race. So, knows what's going to go on there. A bit further behind them, Rasmus Salo is being closed in on by Janko Glavak. Both having a pretty good run. Glavak for high speed, for 1-on-1. Both of these teams battling for, I believe, 7th in the team. 7th, something like that. But good haul of points to both teams, but better one for high speed due to the fact Danny Asbury's in 6th. That mistake cost him slightly over 10 seconds. Well, at least that's what the gap is now between Glavak and Asbury. Not far behind Asbury is Jan Richards' Wiesemuller battle, with Richards looking like he wants to power to Junt, and then both pulling away a little bit from Wiesemuller as Junt's gone off, coming out of the flip-flop. He recovers it and keeps it out of the wall into the final corner, but Richards is going to close the gap and maybe even have a run into turn 1. A little bit too far away, I think, but no such thing as too far back for a dive bomb. And as he does sensibly not even try for a move on Junt. Eric Tveit from the back of the grid up to 12th, and he's back of Anders Nilsson almost. That's for 11th place, so Tveit doing a great job to cut his way through the field. Roy Vrajals just made a mistake, and through come the leaders, but Vrajals made a mistake out of 15th place. That's now gone to Gary Lennon, so points again for Leno. And that's from the back of the grid as well, as Vrajals sensibly lets all of the leaders through. Still within 1.6 seconds. They have 3 cars in front of them, I believe. That's Williamson, Lennon and Carlin ahead of them, so hopefully these guys will all move out the way pretty quick and won't influence the race.
That's right, as Matt Richards now has been fed up of staring at the back of THR cars in this race. You look at the back of Jan and Wiesemuller, pretty much your race now, but the gaps are pretty much staying the same between them. But
oh, we've lost to Van Navarro. That looks like a disconnect. He's 13th currently. Yeah, that was just a disconnect. That's really unfortunate for Ilvan. He was running very well in the points. It looked like the 13th place definitely was his, but unfortunately he's going to lose out on that now as Rob Taplin inherits 13th. Gary Lennon still hasn't passed the scene of Navarro's disconnect. That's how far behind he was. Tolborg and Strane have closed up the gap between them, now only 0.3 of a second, a little bit over 0.3 at the last split as they're coming up to the line now, where we'll get a new read. The gap opened up again. As is the gap behind, Salo pulling away from Glavak as they're tapping Chris Williamson. Asbury on his own, Junt, Richards, Wiesemuller spreading out a bit, Angwin on his own, Nilsson and Tveit closing in just slightly. That's for 11th place, a little bit over 0.4 of a second at the last split. But Tveit obviously a bit faster than Nilsson, especially in the race here. Tveit not qualifying, and now he's going to have a run and a little bit of a slipstream. Going to move to the inside here. Yep, here he goes. Can Tveit make it stick through turn 1?
Well,
yes,
Angwin's off as well in front
Nilsson's...
of him.
Oh,
Angwin has gone off before the
yeah, he went off in the kink.
He went off at the kink, I think. Yeah, he's lost all
what
by himself,
there.
so he's lost 2 places there with Tveit and Nilsson going past.
Right into the top 10.
Right into the top 10 as a result of that, picking up 2 places in one corner pretty much, so great stuff from him. And
14th and 15th, Roy Vrajal and Gary Lennon, they're very close. I think Vrajal has just passed Lennon after he making a mistake a couple of laps ago, but they're both in the point. They're doing well on debut. So, British GP, Fran Lopez, he's going to be very happy with that, as well as Vrajal himself. Not a great deal of practice done.
Kevin Angwin
Yeah,
has gone off.
Angwin
Sorry to interrupt, but just noticed that he just lost it coming out of
trying
the
to
right
pull out of the
hander.
gravel, but that thing doesn't look like it's moving anytime soon. He'll probably still get it out before 14th and 15th place get to him, so gonna have to pit for damages. Through come the leaders. Don't rejoin now, Kevin. Right, through goes Strane. There's a gap now, but Angwin just about avoids another gravel trap.
As the leaders come past him, and
Oh, Tvite's been off in turn 1. Tvite now back down to 11th. Nilsson up to 10th. So people are falling off left and right at the moment.
there's been a lot of notice, particularly a bit further down the pack. There's been a lot of mistakes being made in this first race, and that's why we're seeing people like Verjao and Lennon coming up through the field into the points, and Tvite also making up as much progress as he has. There's been a lot of mistakes and a lot of errors being made, so that's why you're getting some of these people making up 10 or 12 places through the field.
Yeah, there's Clint re-inherits 15th because of Angwin's pit stop. Angwin may come out still ahead of Libeer, so he may retain 6. Holborg closing up to Holm. The gap's now 7/10 of a second. Holm get his foot down in order to stay ahead of Tolborg, because yes, the Tolborg, no matter what you do, if he gets in the zone, he will improve, 1/10, 2/10 per sector on you, and over the course of 10 laps, that builds up to, more than what the gap is currently. From personal experience, I know how bad it is to have Jesper behind you when you're in that mood. So, yep, then hacking into the pits as Tolborg closes the gap a little bit through that final sector. It's up 10th of a second now, having been 9 at the previous sector. Like he's got a better run through the first little kink and through turn 2, so Holm really needs to start hitting all of his marks if he wants to win the race.
Yeah, that's right, and obviously yes, we'll probably put the hammer down with probably about between 6 to 8 laps to go. I mean, we're on lap 28 at the moment, so we're in that zone, but I think we'll start really putting the hammer down now, and Adrian probably knows that from past experience as well, so it'll be punch and counter punch, I think, towards as we approach the final stages of this first race.
A little bit further back, Yunt, Richards and Wiesenmuller have spread out, so they're still 7th, 8th and 9th, but Yunt is starting to catch Danny Asbury, so whether Asbury has a little bit of a problem or there's something wrong with his car, who knows, but if Yunt catches him, I'm sure that they were going to battle, because they're, I believe, 8th and 9th in the Drivers' Championship, so that's a championship that's resting in the balance between those two, or a championship position, should I say. Richards in 8th, he only has 1 point to his name this season as he goes sideways through the flip-flop, but he holds it, he gets on the grass into the final corner. It's the curse of the commentator galore today, so that'll be a good points boost for both Richards and Airstream. They with an 8th place. Unfortunately, Kevin Angwin has dropped out of the points, still going though in 16th, but an awful long way behind Clint. Both of them obviously back down.
One thing I have noticed in this race, it's with the high-speed cars, Glavak started behind Danny Asbury on the grid, but I know Asbury went off when he briefly did take the lead. But there's been a big gap now between Glavak and Asbury. It was 13 seconds between them, and when you consider Asbury before the stops happened was ahead of Glavak for most of that, so it's been a bit of a.
Jumps off from 7th. That's unfortunately, he's going to lose all the ground he made up on Asbury, and he's going to have Richards right back on his tail. From one of our pit lane reporters, these guys weren't being too friendly with each other before Yunt managed to build a gap, so hopefully Yunt's not going to fall back into the clutches of Richards, and hopefully there won't be a bit of a fight, but Richards really pushing to try and get back onto him, onto Dundu, and get back up 7th. But speaking of pushing, Jesper Tolborg has got the gap down to under half a second, and Adrian Holm now is going to really need to be on the defensive. Eric Strane is coming with them. They're only 1.3 seconds separating all 3 of them. And then behind, Glavak is right on the back of Salo. So the top 5 all in combat with each other. And Holborg really looking to get a move on Holm. He just needs to try and wrong foot Holm once. And that's all it will take for Tolborg to take the lead. And this close to the end of the race, I don't really see too much time being gained. But I see an awful lot being lost if someone makes a mistake. Strane now 1.1 second off the back, so this is going to come down to a very interesting last couple of laps. fitting lead between the 3 championship contenders.
I bet the sweat pouring off Adrian's, at this stage as he runs a little bit wide. And there's been contact there between Tolberg and Holmes. And Strani would have taken the lead. As I say
Tolberg's
that,
waiting. Through goes Glavak, through goes Salo. That is indeed massive for the championship. Strani is going to pick up a hefty ton of points on these two, as look like Holm ran wide, but Tolberg also locked up. So that's what contributes to the injury. And I think, yeah, you can say that was on Tolberg, unfortunately. But they waited, so showing good sportsmanship. But good sportsmanship doesn't really win you anything, especially when you lose places to Salo and Glavak while doing it. But yeah, Eric Strani, 4-second lead now. Unless he as well makes a mistake, which, I mean, must be someone in the day. Everyone seems to be doing it in turn 1, so Strani can himself on the road. I'm pretty sure he's going to.
I mean, this is probably very harsh to say, but I bet Strani was dreaming of that happening at some point during this race, being behind both Tolberg and Holm for such a long time during the second stint. And it probably birthday and Christmas came all at once there for them, but also for Salo and Glavak now as we approach the final stages of the race. They're both very likely now to get a podium finish for them, particularly that'd be good for 1-on-1 and high speed for the team's championship as well. So
Matt Richards right at the back of David Yunt as they've just gone past. I believe that's Andreas Walters going backwards into the gravel trap. Fortunate for him, but Richards and Yunt very close together. That's 7th and 8th. And they've got the lap bumper plate right behind them, but another close battle. Vrajal has led
Salo runs
him.
wide and Glavak goes through.
And can go back into 2nd place. Both of these guys, their highest finish is 4th. Actually, I think Salo's highest finish is 4th, Glavak's is 5th, I believe. So both of these guys are on for a season's best finish. But yeah, Strani pulling away, extending the gap by 4/10 this lap, and all he needs to do just keep hitting his marks as these two run off the road trying to battle with each other, and hope that they don't run off too far, that Holm and Tolberg get through and gain some back.
Well, if Glavak and Salo do battle, then Holm and Tolberg's only a 2 or 3 seconds behind them on the racetrack. So what Glavak and Salo should really be doing is time. I think it's probably very hard, particularly for Salo.
There's been a pass. That's Roy Vrajal, actually. That's Roy Vrajal. He's been off in turn 1. He's down to 14th. David Yunt gets past to put a lap on him. I'm just going to have a look at what happened now. It was a mistake from both Vrajal and Lennon. Lennon managed to save it. Vrajal didn't, and ended up backwards in the turn 1 gravel. And took him a while to get back out of it. And now he has Matt Richards behind him, who's separated from David Yunt a little bit, so breath of air for Yunt. But Holm and Tolberg still battling their nose to tail again. Tolberg makes a mistake coming into the final corner though, so Holm is going to pull out just a couple of tenths, but that's all he needs to stay away from Tolberg, at least for this lap, and maybe till the end of the race. There's only 2 laps to go if I'm reading this right.
That's correct, 2 laps to go, yeah.
So yeah, Eric Strani, he lost a bit of time to Glavak on that lap, but he doesn't really need to be concerned about losing a couple of tenths, as long as he can keep himself pointing in the right direction and keep on going. This should be his race to win. Glavak pulling away from Salo, who seems to be very sideways. Maybe his rear tyres have worn away a little bit more than he was hoping for, so Salo should be maybe considering holding on to 3rd instead of pushing for 2nd. And they got Holm and Tolberg behind, closing on them, and a big gap back to Asbury and Hunt and Richards and Muller and everybody else.
Yeah, I think Salo would just be glad of finishing on the podium at this stage of the race. Perhaps he just doesn't want to battle Glavak too much and possibly risking a mistake, particularly at the first corner here. But we now start the final lap now. Eric Strani goes through the kink in turn 1 for the final time this race at full speed anyway. And
His last win, in fact, was back at Manfield. Then all the races have been won by Adrian Holm in the last 2 events, but Strani getting 4th win of the season. Obviously, he won at Fuji in the first round of the season, both races at Manfield. So good for him and good for Ice Cold. Obviously, championship rivals,
That's
or
right, and obviously
still 4th and 5th, and not really
bit of
gaining.
luck involved with this this victory for Strana, but you make your own luck at the end of the day, and obviously it's unfortunate for Holm and Talbot they had their incident a few laps ago, but Strana won't care. He's going to extend his championship lead. As
Strani coming round the final corner on the front of the line. Lap traffic in front, but they're too far ahead to spoil it, as Eric Strani takes the first win here at Manfield. Danko Glavak very happy second. We're back to Oran Park, sorry, I forget geography as well as counting and things. Hey, Glavak second for high speed racing. Very well done, that's his second podium of the season after Danny Asbury took one at Manfield. Rasmus Salo third, Adrian Holm fourth, and Jesper Tolborg has already left the game for what that was for, but he's done that. Hopefully he'll be back for race 2. Danny Asby very quiet 6th after going off from the lead. David Yunt, very good 7th ahead of Richards. Anders Nielsen going to come round in the top 10 again.
Off as well on the final lap. It might not matter too much.
He's into, everyone behind him's a lap down. That's Tveit off in 12th. That 12th is safe, so whether he can get to the finish or not, it looks like he may blow his engine at this rate. He's got a lot of damage on the front and his engine's smoking as it is. Got a lot of gravel track to cover, but Rob Taplin in front of him finishes 11th behind Anders Nilsson. Races from those. Right. Last person to finish. Like he's stuck in the gravel. But almost out. In fact, he's not the last person to finish, or he is the last person to finish, where Callum finishes now down in 20th and 2 laps down. So we're just waiting on Eric Tveit to get his car out of the gravel.
That's one very ice.
Blew the engine.
I say that's one very, very.
Yeah, he'll still get points for that 12th place, considering he more than 75% of the distance. Yeah, double point score for Ice Cold. Tveit maybe not as high as you'd expected, but from that qualifying, he can't really complain with points.
That's right, 26, I believe he started, so he should be happy with 12th. I mean, I would. I know I would. That's for certain. But yeah, Eric's done some brilliant drives through the field, obviously in the past. So not sure what his emotions will be. But so we're going to go into the next race, or the next qualifying, I should say.
Yep, the next qualifying will be in a couple of minutes' time. Just let the drivers cool down, rejoin the server if they left in race 1 at some point, and then we'll be ready to go again. Hopefully it'll be as close, if not closer, and more exciting than it was in race 1. Find out. So, David, what were your thoughts on that race then, and that battle for the
very
lead?
Exciting. A lot of action there, particularly during the second part of the race, in particular when the stops was happening, and then the second part of the race. But it was a lot of high entertainment. I'm glad I was here to call the action and to see the all the action live there, and yeah, it's great to see. Hopefully, we'll get more of the same in the second race.
5 minutes until the qualifying sign has been given by race control, so have to wait that 5 minutes out with the drivers maybe practicing their quali again or start or so, as some of them will just be trying to rejoin, such as Andy Breeden, who's back in now after missing the start in race 1. But with that close qualifying session in race 1, who's going to get on pole? Do you reckon Lewis Travis will avenge his disappointment from race 1 and score another pole position, or if Danny Asbury could finally get it, or if one of the 3 front runners are going to get it instead?
Very possibly. I mean, so even people maybe like Oscar, he might not get the pole, but I'm sure he's got a lot of frustration. Hopefully, he can take that out in a positive way and find a few extra tenths of seconds, especially in qualifying. Hopefully, to get himself a bit further up in the grid and You might see. I mean, obviously, Strano will be on a high. Possibly Jesper and Holm might be on a little bit of a downer after that. But you might get one of the so-called regulars on the front, or you might obviously, like every event, you might get to see one of the lesser likes on the pole position, like we saw. No disrespect to him, but Lewis Travis isn't what we normally see on the pole position.
Yeah, I mean,
So
part of
hopefully.
he's not close. I mean, he was part of the 13 cars within tenths of a second at Townsville, but Travis was that 13th car, so like he can be close, but never quite close enough until then. Where he actually took his first pole of the season and the first pole for Walk Racing.
That's right. I'm sure Karadaru Bogdan will be very pleased with that. Oh, maybe not so pleased with the
result.
how the race panned out, but I'm sure he'd be delighted with the fact that Lewis Travis did get pole and.
A good finish from Rob Taplin, all things considered.
Absolutely, yeah. I believe it's.
He broke his wheel, and that
that
was on the PS2 pad. So
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
good show from him.
Did a great job, and I know what it's like to race on keyboards and stuff like that. It's extremely difficult. So yeah, well, kudos to Rob Taplin about that.
Definitely, I mean, kudos to everyone who finished this race, because as much as it doesn't look like it, Oran Park is a very dangerous track. What with the incredibly thick gravel traps and the wall will beat you up and spit you back out in several pieces, as I'm sure Angwin found out when he went off.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the thing about this circuit as well, I mean, this is, particularly for people like Rob Taplin at this moment, this is one of the racetracks that you really don't want to be racing on something like a pad or a keyboard or a controller or anything like that, because it's so tight and technical, and there's a lot of places around this racetrack you can very easily get it wrong. So, so yeah, that's probably why we saw sort of a few results in the first race that people were not where they usually are. But yeah, it's fantastic to see, and bring it on for race 2. That's all I can say.
If race 2 will shake it up anymore.
That's right. I mean, we've got a minute or so now till the start of quali 2, and you know, hopefully people are doing some practice on the new fresh tyres, because of course they haven't been on fresh tyres for the past half an hour or so, or 45 minutes or so. So hopefully now they're just sharpening themselves up and getting prepared for quali 2. Maybe do a few changes as well to set up if they felt that quali 1 didn't go to plan. They might do a few suspension, camber, wing settings, possibly down to tyre pressures or radiators. So yeah, let's see. That might shake up the grid a bit more.
Well, I mean, so unpredictable that really state that 6 or 7 different drivers could occupy the front row. You have to factor in traffic, factor in if they can, how well they can, factor in just, you know, position of their mistake. If they make a mistake at the lap and miss pit entry and have to go around again with damage, they could potentially run out of time. So what we'll see. We have 30 seconds to go until we move into qualifying.
Any predictions from your side, Mike, of who's going to get the pole? I mean, I think we were both wrong last time. I think we was, but glad to be proven wrong. But who do you think is going to get the pole for race 2?
Well, considering all the talk of people in different positions from normal, and the fact that Danny Asbury has been so close to the pole position several times, I'm going to go with Danny Asbury. I know high-speed racing should get the first pole if he does. Now into the qualifying session. On the pit exit to see who's the first guy out on track, and then we'll follow him around for.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's see who's going to be ahead of the mad rush out of the pit lane, as there normally is at the start of each qualifying session, and he's quite civilised at the moment, which is quite strange. But I wouldn't surprise it's somebody like Jesper flying at that pit.
Everybody's hiding at the moment. Oh,
yeah, that's right.
I'm not sure if that was just me, but I got a connection lost from the server.
So did I.
That for everyone. Okay, that's a technical issue. Hopefully it'll be an easy a jump straight back in. Well, this is happening. We'll give you couple of upcoming things in the Sim Racing Pro community. Obviously, there's the next and final round of the Top Step V8 Championships. That's going to be at Bathurst for 500 kilometers, and that's open to all people. So if anybody can, their teammate wants to try their luck against Holm, Holborg, and Holborg. Okay, Holm, Tolborg, and Straned, then free to head over to www.racingpro.com and sign up. But yeah, and, a little bit along the line in the future of Top Step, we have decided that our next league is going to be run using 500s. So, the popular Japanese GT starting at the summer. Yeah, in the meantime, if fancy some racing on Sim Racing Pro, there's the Flat 6 Cup that's going to be on, I believe, first round, and then the Racing Pro Minis on Game Stock Car. That's going to be, I believe, the first round's on the 25th, so the first round is next week. No, it's a pre-season. The first round is in a couple of weeks after that. So, anyone out there fancies any racing, then Sim Racing Pro is the place to race. I believe the server should be back up. It was a server crash that caused that, unfortunately. So hopefully that's fixed, and we'll jump once give everyone some time to get back in, and jump straight into quali. That seems that's back up. Drivers are filtering back in now. Give him a minute to get back in. Couple of minutes till the qualifying sessions come up, but yeah, the Sim Racing Pro Minis, the reigning champion is Frank Jesper Tolborg, as mentioned in. Unfortunately, he's due to time constraints unable to race in it again. Championship is back out up for grabs for anybody who feels that they have the speed to compete in that. But you're gonna have to get past me first, and as anyone can tell you, that's not an easy feat.
No, it's not.
But, my ego slipping in a bit, but got a lot of the drivers back, waiting on a couple more before we can switch over to qualifying properly. Andreas Waters using this time to get a couple of extra cheeky laps in for Waters. Obviously, a last-minute call-up. He hasn't got the same amount of practice as everybody else, so taking the couple of minutes that we're allowing everyone to get learn a bit more about the car and track. So very good from Andreas, taking advantage of anything he can get. Have 24 of the drivers back in, still waiting on a couple of people, including Lewis Travis, who was pole sitter last time, and Hardwick. Oscar Hardwick is back in the server, so Travis as well. So everybody's back in. Smooth fine session again. And race control gives the 1 minute of qualifying, so and Chris Waters lap by the looks of it. Apologies for the settings on my microphone. They're apparently cutting out a bit, but we'll try and fix that at the moment by just changing the sensitivity a little bit. If you would give me 2 seconds.
But as I see out on the track at the moment, Walter's obviously getting a little bit of track time. He didn't have a great first race, but obviously trying to sharpen himself up for the second race here that we have today for second qualifying. And I hope that this little issue that we have hasn't distracted too many of the drivers too much. But yeah, it should be exciting nonetheless. It's a little bit of a shame we've had this slight issue, but yeah, just preparing ourselves now. It gives some drivers as well a little bit of extra practice as well, so I'll just sharpen themselves up and get prepared for qualifying. But,
Right, hopefully that's worked again. I think I'm back.
From the first race, we know that Strana's lead has grown significantly. I can't say precisely what the points will be at this stage. I'll try and work it out as race 2 has finished. But yeah, at the moment, we've got safe to say that Strana's lead will be extended in the championship. Might be a few issues with penalties, but we obviously see.
I believe
how
it'll be
that pans out afterwards.
extended to something in the region of about 16 points. So, sorry, 14, 15, or 16 points, just off the top of my head. So, really now, in the ball's in home in Strana's court, and he has to lose it, I think, in order to lose the championship. Yep, that's also something. Adrian Holm was a number of points behind going into this race. May be very close to dropping out of championship contention, and it only being a 2-horse race for the title between Tolborg and Eric Strane as the first people out on track again are Jesper Tolborg and Lewis Travis. So they're 27th and 23rd in the order that people rejoin. So back. Cycle through to them myself. Lewis Travis ahead of Tolborg at the moment as the rest of the drivers just piling back in.
Again, Travis and Tolborg trying to get as much space as possible for qualifying. But perhaps it's just a routine that people like to have.
It worked for them last time. They were the front row.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I say, but this is the way that I used to when I was sim racing. This is the way I used to.
Apologies to have lost cameras. The broadcast has crashed. We'll be back on as soon as possible, but until then, you still have audio commentary. Broadcast back. It wasn't a crash, just a small stutter, so never mind that. Travis out the final corner to start his first lap. Looking for somewhere in the region of the same time he did in qualifying 1. But some reason my timing isn't working. Hopefully that's a glitch. And isn't something on the surface. Travis spins anyway, so.
But I also noticed Eric Tavite's actually joined the track for qualifying for this race. So hopefully we'll see him a bit higher up the grid this time as well. Right. But we'll follow.
It was a glitch, now, I think.
As it goes through turn 3 and now over the Dunlop Bridge now around turn 4.
Bad news for Tolborg. Both Holm and Strane are faster than him through sector 1. Strane currently the fastest of anyone through there. So Jesper's going to be the first to start, first to finish lap. But again, long qualifying session, plenty of time for improvement.
As he goes through the flip up now into Recaro corner now, as it's a decent line. I wouldn't say it's the best I've seen him do it, but that's a decent line nonetheless as he comes across the line now. And I have no idea what time he's done. I think there is a time.
Oh, that he maybe missed a sector or so on his out lap, but unfortunate for Jesper, that may have been quite a good lap as Adrian Holm, not taking any prisoners, decides, okay, we're going straight from the beginning now with a 1 minute 3.800, which, if I recall correctly, would have been the previous pole time, and he's up again. Holm really realizing he needs to put his foot down to keep in the championship. So not only is he beating the previous pole time, he's now up on himself by half a tenth. So if anyone else gets a look in at the moment with Holm in this mindset, I'd be surprised. As Salo also improving, as is Hardwick.
Right.
And Olsen
pretty fired up after the last race. I mean, putting your first proper time lap and doing a lap time like that, he must be pretty fired up from the last race. So aiming to improve and have a better race too, it looks like. As Adrian's actually coming around the final corner again and see if he's
still improving
this time.
Improving at sector 2, he's half a tenth up.
He's done it again.
Cruised by a third of a tenth. So interested, Rasmus Salo and Tobias Olsen, the next 2 cars on the road, they're both up on their times as Salo improves his time and stays in third. Olsen, I believe, in ninth. Rane improves as well. Now in third, with Asbury in fourth and Tolborg's lap put in fifth. Tolborg is up on his own time, a bit down on home through sector 1. As that is Travis, I believe, off in turn 1. Eric de Veit, his big crash, that's just before the bridge section. That has got to have impeded some people's laps. It was very, very busy around there at the time he crashed. That's cycling through now to try and find de Veit and see what happened on the replay, but
he just lost
really
it
not
on the
sure.
exit of turn 2 there on the curb, and of course being him off to the left, tackling off to the right, that would have put some people off in some respect, I would have thought. But
almost certainly he's going to have to.
Again.
Someone who's around that part of the track, he's still improving, is Oscar Hardwick. He was very quick through sector 1, a bit slow through sector 2, and he's almost lost it into, as he loses it completely into the barrier at the last corner. So Hardwick going to stay 7th for the time being.
There's Matt Richards now across the line in P6 at the moment. He might jump Tolborg with this, and he does. And Asbury also he jumps, so he's up to P4. So that's a good improvement there for Matt Richards there. He'll be looking to gain a 10th or 2, perhaps.
Anders Nilsson improves. Up into 12th. Robert Wiesenmuller up on his lap time. He improves to dispatch Nilsson from 12th. Nilsson behind. Riddell finishes the lap. Kenny Lee there. Put himself 14th. That's a pretty good time from Kenny. Obviously, still a lot of time to be gained as Wiesenmuller's crashed in the same place as de Veit did. Victor Silva's also off as well. Wiesenmuller escapes out, but seems to be a very popular crash point in this qualifying session, which is never good. As Wiesenmuller and Angwin both leave the pit lane at the same time, that's got to have caused some damage to one, if not both of them. As Holmes improving again as he's on the run down to the line. Improves by a full 10th of a second. That's a 103.6 from home. I doubt anyone's going to get this. Paul Salo's the closest person to him at the moment. He's over 4.5 tenths behind. So,
I think Adrian's sending out a clear message here. I am now the number 1, whether you like it or not. I am being the quickest here today, and I'm having this pole position by the looks of things. He's saying that I should have had the race 1 win, and
I didn't.
He's going to do anything now to get the win in the second race.
Yeah, and statistically, it's been the same race winner to have won every event. So at Fuji, it was an endurance race. At Rapuna, Tolborg won both races. At Manfield, Strane won both races. And last time at Townsville, Holm won both races. So someone's going to be looking to break that streak. As Ockerklint also goes off under the tunnel. As Janko Glavac improves, very well done. He's up into 7th and under a 10th behind Asbury. But that time, not that great. He did a faster time in qualifying 1, so Glavac's looking to improve. But speaking of improvement, Matt Richards, after sector 1, up on pole time. He had a slipstream from Virgile, who gets out of the way, but he's lost a load of time in the middle sector. So Richards off. Oscar Hardwick up to 6th. Job from him in the Magenta Warriors car.
I mean, it's still a long way in this session to go, but apart from Holm, it looks like a lot of the drivers are really struggling to find their Q1 paces.
Taplin improves, that's to 17th.
So hopefully...
de Veit's a full second up on himself after sector 1.
Lewis Travis goes up to 2nd position here, so and he's at exactly the same lap time as Rasmus Salo, but he's got the luck on his side being ahead of Salo. And Salo actually crossed this line now, and it's Glavac who's actually improved. He's up to P2. So the times are tumbling now. Whether they get down to Holmes, around Holmes that time, we can't say that at the moment.
23rd at the moment. He's 2.3 seconds up on his lap time. He's half a second off home, but half a second off home will still put him in the frame for 2nd. So Glavac's improving again. White goes 9th. Richards improving as well, as Rane improves by just under a 10th. Salo's up on his time as well. Glavac's up on Holm, in addition to being a 10th and a half up on himself. And Tolborg takes 2nd provisionally with an improvement of over half a second.
It looks like the drivers now actually starting to get to the levels of lap time now that they was getting in the first race now. So you might see a few of the familiar names at the very sharp end of the grid. And
Glavak and Salo both improving on the run to the line. Salo improves by 0.2 of a second and moves himself up into third place. Glavak improves. He stays fourth, but improves his time by about a third of a tenth. Travis, after sector 1, he's up on his time but down on home, so looking for an improvement from the Bolt Racing driver. Danny Asbury, the same, up on himself, down on home. Reasonable improves by half a second to take 9th from Hardwick, who's about to start a lap. As David Yunt improves behind to 11th. So Janko Glavak is up again, I believe. I've lost him. Yep, Glavak up on pole, down on himself. So Glavak with a good with a better sector 1 than home, but through the middle sector, home's getting some time. It was off because one of the one-on-one cars in front. I believe that was
Salo that went off
Salo,
in front of
yeah.
him. I think that put off Glavak a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah, and off he goes.
And he's gone off. He's gone off there. He's made a bit of a mistake. Now Strana's now right behind him now. So he might get a slipstream to Linus Glavak pits.
Oh, Yunt. Attempt to open himself, 0.038 down on home after sector 1. He's coming through towards the second sector split now, and we'll get another reading of his time. Lost time. He's 100th down on himself though, so it still could be an improvement from Yunt if he gets a good third sector. And even a 10th improvement will jump him a couple of places, so as he clipped the wall, that's going to have lost him time. Indeed it has.
As we now got
Not
5
much though,
minutes.
so a lot of time left for Yunt.
As we now got 5 minutes of session to go now, I think now Adrian would have possibly seen Salo's and Tarborg's time. He might, he's doing laps at the moment, so he's obviously not 100% comfortable, but he might just be a little bit worried that even though he set that blistering lap
up
time,
on pole after sector 1.
Nice.
Oh, Asbury up into 5th as I've just flicked across to Strani, so someone in the infield. But Richard's very close to the times as well. But Hardwick, 0.081 up on himself and 0.035 up on home as Hardwick slides his way through the middle sector here, coming up to the final corner in sector 2. A good run off of it. Oh, he's lost time. May have been in the early part of it, but he can still improve on himself if he can get a clean last corner. Got Olsen in front of him, but that shouldn't prove any difference, but he gets a bit of a wiggle on. And he improves by 1/10.5 to jump himself into 9th place. Half a tenth behind Richards.
Yes, and a 1/10 would set him up about 4 or 5 positions as well if Oscar was to improve. I mean, 1/10 could see him right at the back of Danny Asbury or possibly in front of him. So, again, little improvements can make such a big difference, particularly around this racetrack. But as I was saying, now we've only got 3.5 minutes to go. No one's improved recently. Adrian will be, I think, seeing Salo's time in particular, I'm a little bit worried that people might beat him as he set that even though he set that blistering lap.
Oh, Richards up on pole.
3.
Sorry,
6.
Richards up. Just a couple of thousandths up, but and when the Optimum was getting out of the way as Ockerklint. But if Richards can carry some form of speed through there, he can definitely improve on his lap time from here. Down in 8th and a 1/10 of a second improvement will put him up in like 5th or so. Still everything to gain, but it appears he lost a fair bit of time, but a good last sector, and again we'll see him improve. Got Olsen and Asbury in front of him. Asbury went up to start a lap as Travis just behind he's up on himself. As Richards gets a better last sector but doesn't improve. Yunt's also up on himself, coming up to sector 2. Still up on himself going through the flip-flop, only by half a tenth, but again, he's only 1,000th ahead of Eric de Veit, who's snuck into 13th without us looking. Oh, sorry. Yunt doesn't improve. Angwin improves up to 18th place. So the Airstream looking to get back forward. Salo improves time but not position. Eric de Veit a 10th up on himself through sector 1 as Martin Palmer has joined number 2 YTF1 car. So hopefully he can get up to speed pretty soon. But he's got 2 minutes of quality left to set a time. Elborg close on the first sector. The fastest first sector at the moment is going to Lewis Travis, so 3 different people have the fastest 3 sectors. Light still up on himself at the sector 2 as he goes through the flip-flop. Still currently 12th as Asbury improves to 3rd place. Light gets very sideways off the final corner. He may have burnt all away his time, but he still improves by a 10th to jump Davidian. Hardwick up to 9th with a small improvement. Nobody else near the front is up on their time.
It was half a second now separating the top 9. It was the top 10 in the first race, and now top 9 in this one as well. So,
Cliff and Nilsson both improved. And Van Navarro with a very good sector 1. He's way down in 16th at the moment. He's lost it all through sector 2, but Navarro was almost dead even with Holm through sector 1. So, come out of the other Sharkskins car. Rob Taplin, he improves. That's 4.7. That'll put him into 13th place. So good job on his pad, on his PS2 pad even. Oscar Hardwick's on an improving lap again. I'm not sure if my timing bugged out. I don't know if he is actually on improvement. He's not. Everyone else is close to their times, but no one's really improving. Got a number of people electing not to qualify.
Oscar's just setting up for a lap now. He's just starting his hot lap.
Oh, Kevin Angry was 3 tenths up on himself coming out the final corner. Still improves, but that's time to gain. Richards a 10th. Yeah, a full 10th up on Adrian Holm. The fastest sector 1 of anyone. And he's got Travis in front, who's no slow guy. He has a marker. And no traffic around him. If Richards can pull a lap together, now would be the time that he should do it.
Well, this is time he's got to do it now because the session has just finished. Checker flag is out, so he's got to do it this lap. It should be an improvement. Whether he keeps it all together or not, we obviously don't know. This is the flip-flop now, which can make or break the lap. And he gets that pretty well. And now approaches Recaro corner now. For the last time in this qualifying session, he comes towards the line now. P8 at the moment, will he improve his position? Yes, he improves it to P7. Probably after that first sector, not where he aimed to be, but still improvement at them. But it's Eric
Mistake at the final turn that cost him.
Eric Strawn's the big shock at the moment, down in P8 as it stands.
Oh, Glavac spins out from a pretty good lap, but Strand down in P8 could maybe be held up and lose the points he gained from race 1 against Holm and Tolborg. Like near enough everybody's finished their laps now. Martin Palm did get out and set a lap that was alright. He's going to be starting 23rd, so not bad for someone who's early joined. White goes up to 7th in the last lap of the session, so that's to Vite. See what he can do from the back of the grid in race 1, see what he can do from middle of the top 10 in race 2. So Holm takes the pole just ahead of Rasmus Salo, so a Scandinavian front row. Danny Asbury yet again for, I believe, the 5th time this season? Either the 4th or 5th time this season, Danny Asbury lines up on the 2nd row. This time partnered by Jesper Tolborg. Lewis Travis behind with Janko Glavac, and then Eric Tveit and Matt Richards in 8th. So Richards with that incredible lap towards the end of the session still gets knocked down to 8th ahead of Strane in 9th. And Oscar Hardwick in 10th, so Hardwick with a better qualifying. Strani would be disappointed, and neither THR getting in the top 10 this time, in 11th and 12th. Followed by quite a good qualifying actually from Jonathan Ockerklint in 13th, so kind of mixed up in the middle of the pack.
It's a good qualifying there, particularly from Ockerklint as well, being higher up than usual, so congratulate him for that. But but obviously being Eric actually qualifying this time as well. We got Rasmus right at the front of the grid, so it was a bit shaken up a little bit, but the most disappointed person on the grid, I think, would be Eric Strana at this moment, particularly when you see Adrian on the front row, on pole position. Jesper being in 4th as well, so Eric will have a lot of work to do, but with Eric Tveit, his teammate, just been in front of him, they might just work together up through the field. Particularly, they might, for example, pit early as well to try and get a bit of clean air if they do decide to pit, of course, and hopefully work together up there as well if Strana wants to defend or extend his championship lead.
I think that'd be the best thing to do, is to work with Tveit to pass people. But interesting note, if let's just say everybody drives around in single file and is dead boring this round, I believe that the points that Stranny would have gained would still have gained by 1 or 2 ahead of Tolborg, but Holm would have closed back into championship contention properly. So I doubt it will stay like that. In fact, I'm almost certain it won't. But going into Bathurst is going to be very interesting, since it's the endurance round. 50 points are on offer for the winner, which is 10 more than second place, so it's really worth winning those endurance races. And obviously with it being 2 drivers per car, the team scores points for each driver, not just per car. So Teams Championship is as of yet undecided, but it's going to be difficult for anyone to top Ice Cold. Battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. I believe that Small Power would be heading it, despite only having 1 driver for this race at the moment. Hang on, I'm just trying to do some maths here. Yeah, it would be Jesper Tolborg. Sorry, it'd be Sharkskins that would be in 2nd, ahead of Smile, then THR, then Walk, I believe. That's a good battle to look out for. Who knows? Maybe both the Ice Colds will disconnect the Bathurst and someone will get a 1-2 out of those lot and win the championship. I doubt it, but you know, it's sim racing. Anything's possible. People are spending the last 2 minutes of warm up practicing their starts, so hopefully we'll get a good getaway again in the incident-free first lap.
That's right, and there'd be also some people at the front of the grid, who's starting this race at the front of the grid, I should say, who'd be wanting to show their mettle with ahead of Bathurst. People like Asbury, people like Lewis Travis as well, who they both had a slightly disappointing first race, of course, but and also maybe Glavak as well, and Rasmus Salo starting on the front row as well. So they'll be trying to mix it up in there as best as they can as well. But yeah, it's going to be good stuff, I reckon, with this slightly mixed grid for the race 2.
It definitely makes that warm up. There's people out setting times, and Tobias Olsen sets a 1:04.6. So I don't believe he managed that in qualifying, but if he did that, it'd put him way up. So we again some people who have a lot of speed coming from a bit further back. This is to Vite did in race 1. But 1 more minute, and then we go into the race. 4 people should be starting this race, because obviously Andy Breeden hopefully will take the start of this one. Martin Palm is available to race this time after recently getting back in. Fortunately, we're missing a couple of drivers still, but back from a
28 car grid for this one, so similar sort of numbers as to.
It'll be the same numbers actually.
Yeah. Everyone's just making their final preparations for this second race, perhaps trying to erase some of the mistakes they did in the first race, particularly from the start, if possible, if they did so, and hopefully trying to gain as many positions and as best start as possible for race 2. Or even practice a pit stop as well, if they plan to pit as well.
An uncharacteristically good start from Jesper Tolborg in race 1, so maybe if he can pull that off again from 4th, he could be high up. But then again, though, Holm went from 6th to 4th in on the run out to turn 1 last time, so it's going to be crazy going into turn 1. Rasmus Salo normally pretty good at starts. Danny Asbury, complete unknown. Sometimes he'll go, and this isn't even a pun intended, sometimes he'll go forward, sometimes he'll go backwards. Hopefully he can go forwards, but I really need to stop laughing at him for that. But it's unfortunately it's true, so hopefully Danny will go forward and not lose too many positions, as we're going over to the race session now, as the final few people are finishing their laps, and here we go. So from the back forward again, Ben Haxton again choosing to start from the back of the grid for Magenta Warriors. In front of him is going to be Andreas Wouters in 25th for Walters. Chris Williamson for YTF1 is going to start 24th. Victor Silva, 23rd for Experience. Martin Palm, 22nd, after putting in 1 lap in that qualifying session, so good job from him. Kenny Liebert, 21st in the second of the Walters. 20th, Gary Lennon, so electing to qualify doesn't really put Lennon that much further forward on the grid, but we'll see what he can do from there. He's alongside Anders Nilsson for Optimum. In front of them is Tobias Olsen, down in 18th, so 6 places worse than his qualifying 1. Rory Virgil, good qualifying, 17th. We saw how good his start was when he gained 6 places by turn 1 last time. Ivan Navarro, 16th for Sharkskins. Rob Taplin, 15th for Walk. Kevin Angwin for Airstream is in 14th. Jonathan Ockerklint, a good qualifying, in 13th for Optimum. David Junt and Robert Wiesenmuller, 12th and 11th respectively for CHR. Oscar Hardwick in 10th for Magenta Warriors. Eric Strani in 9th for Ice Cold. He will definitely be looking to move forward, passing, amongst others, Matt Richards, who's starting 8th for Airstream, behind Eric Tveit in the other Ice Cold. Janko Glavak makes it 2 high speeds in the top 6 again. Lewis Travis 5th for Walk. Spatoborg in 4th for Small Power. He really be getting past Danny Asbury, who's starting 3rd for high speed, and Rasmus Salo, who's 2nd for one-on-one if he wants to points going down to Eric Strani. But all of them are going to be looking to try and catch the pole man, Adrian Holm, who with that kind of lap in qualifying that early on suggests he still has something left in the race. But we'll soon find out as the field's coming up to round the final corner. And then the lights will go on and have a race down to turn 1. So, David, any predictions for this race?
Well, I'm looking forward to watching Danny Asbury trying to prove a point. I just hope he makes 1 step forward and not 2 steps back, because you don't really get too far like that, you see. So, but I'm really looking forward to see him start off from P3 and hopefully see him get a lucky start, because I always want him to do well, personally. And
everybody's lined up on the grid now. The lights are gonna come on any second. Here they are. The lights are on. Everyone revs up. The lights are off, and we're going. A good start from Adrian Holm. Gets the jump on Salo. Tolbo gets the jump on Asbury, and they've left Travis and Richards for dead. As here comes Tveit at the inside, a bit further back, but Holm takes the lead in somewhere from Salo, from Tolbo, from Asbury. Richards up to 5th. Travis and Tveit contact. Richards gets sideways. Travis up, passes him up to 5th. Looks like it's a pretty clean start from everybody. Jonson Ockerklint's gained a place as one of the Airstreams off, and that's a YTF1 up to 17th already. It's Martin Palm. Great start from him as there's contact side by side between Richards and Travis. Tveit's dropped back down to 9th, and he's got the 2 THRs behind him, and he's playing a bit of bumper cars with Hardwick. So who's trying to work out who's gone a bit backwards on the start, but Rajal a good start again, Navarro a good start. Ockerklint side by side with Taplin, the THRs have gained a place apiece. But back at the front, Holm defending already from Salo. Salo really has, nothing to lose, so he's going to go full on after this race win, because his battle he's mathematically eliminated from the championship contention as it stands, and he's battling with Hardwick, who's way down in the pack, so he really has nothing to lose by attacking home. 0.3 of a second is the gap after the first lap. Tolberg's got Asbury on his tail with Travis in there, and a bit of a gap forming back to Strane and Richards and Hardwick and Tveit, and Wiesenmuller sideways. That's Lewis Travis. He's off in the gravel in turn 1 again. Really far out there. He's going to drop to last if he can even get that thing back out of the gravel, and he's elected not to. Lewis Travis retires. Janko Glavak's in the pits. Wonder what that's from, but he's way back. He's now 26th, so Glavak from 6th. Down in the pits already in lap 1. That was who dropped backwards. Maybe it was went off and got a puncture or so, but Holmes still leads from Salo, Tolborg and Asbury, and Strane is up to 5th after all of that. And Hardwick 6th, Richards 7th, Tveit 8th, Wiesenmuller 9th, all right under each other's wings. All gap with Yunt in it. And then Taplin, Navarro, Virgil, Ockerklint's gone backwards, Nilsson's gone forwards, and Palm almost up into the points already, so a great start from him. Ahead of Victor Silva, Kevin Angwin, Gary Lennon, Kenny Liebert, Ben Hackerson from the back of the grid, and Tobias Olsen's gone backwards this start. He's down 22nd. As Glavak only just gets moving, he's got a lot of rear damage. So, Salo's hit Holm in turn 1. Both of them went sideways. They both held it as Wiesenmuller's passed to Tveit. That was 4, 8th, and 9th, and Yunt's now looking to have a go as well.
Well, Hackerson's got slightly wide at turn 1 there, but the problem with Glavak was
Navarro into 12th passes for Shile. Sorry for cutting across you there, Carter, but it's absolute action-packed at the moment.
Yeah, what I was going to say was with Glavak, I didn't see the instance, but his rear bumper did come off, and it looked like the car was crabbing to the rear of the car. So yeah, it looked like some serious problem. Must have been an incident in the first couple of corners, I would have thought, with that. So I didn't see him actually fall off, but yeah, he was driving around very slowly at the back, and it's now a lap down from that.
Maybe he went off backwards and went into a wall. That's probably the only thing I can guess, because there's nobody who has really a lot of damage from where he was. There's Angwin and Silva battling over 17th, so a good start from Victor Silva.
There's a great scrap as well further down for infield with Lennon, Libia, I think it's Kevin Angwin as well, just in front of them, and Tobias Olsen behind as they go towards turn
Glavac's
1.
back in the pits. Maybe he's got a drive through, but Glavac's parking it. Denko Glavac calling it a day, which is really unfortunate for the high-speed racing driver. After a great race 1 with a 2nd place, he's now going to score no points in race 2.
Yeah, it's a shame for him. After such a great performance in the first race, now he's going to have to rely, for high speed, they're going to have to rely on Danny Asbury picking up a few points, but that's going to hurt their team's championship for certain, especially with Glavac starting P6 in this race, I believe.
Oh, Eric Tvite's in the wall, Eric Tvite's in the wall, going out to the flip-flop. He's dropping down, he's 15th at the moment, 16th now. I'm going to have a look at my own replay how that happened. He was between the two THRs. I think, he just got a wheel over the curb, the back end fishtailed, and he lost control into the wall. Nose first, that's a lot of damage on that car, and it still hasn't moved. The Vite out as well. Just proving how hard this track can be, even to people who've raced it several times. Like Eric Vite has, but that's moved everybody up a place at least.
Yeah, I've seen some great performances from Eric Vite in the past, in the past in different cars, and that wasn't one of his finest moments at Oran Park, but he'll be back, I'm sure, for Bathurst, and
of course he's partnering Jesper Solborg. Yeah. Angwin, Olsen, 18th, 19th. Angwin just got passed by Lennon, so let's have a quick look on the replay of how Lennon got past, and just a quick dive into turn 1, and Olsen with a bit of a bump on the rear bumper, kind of paintbrushed him a little bit and got past, so a bit underhanded there by Olsen. Have to have a look at that after the race. Back up towards the front. Holm has almost a second gap.
Contact there between Olsen and Gary Lennon. Gary Lennon's gone right off, not into the pond on this occasion for Lennon, but he's very unfortunate incident there at the flip-flop, but I think he just...
That was Lennon, who looked like he lifted out to avoid Silva, and Olsen just either came through unsighted or didn't see Lennon lift. And obviously Lennon rejoins back in 21st ahead of Chris Williamson and Andreas Waters.
Shame for Lennon, yeah, just as he lifted off, he got a little bit of wiggle on. Of course, Olsen was nice and stable through the flip-flop and didn't anticipate the drop in speed for Lennon there, but shame for Lennon. Unfortunately for him, he always seems to get all the luck, and it's all bad for most of the time. But yeah, I'm sure Lennon will pick himself up and hopefully make his way back through the field.
Pass for 12th place. Anders Nilsson's passed Roy Virgil, and Virgil's now under attack from Olga Klint. That's the optimism versus the experience, as Virgil almost flip-flop. Very difficult corner, and you always have to look like you're out of control to be fast through there. It's make any real sense, but oh well, as there's 16th, 17th, 18th still going at it. Olsen's in the wall again. That's unfortunate. Tobias get into the pits, repair that damage.
He's got a puncture as well in the front right-hand corner.
That's unfortunate. I believe it's going to be his race coming to an end. At least aimed to an end. It's going to be ruined here.
Yeah, flying off into the gravel at least. Yeah, he's going to find it tricky to get out of that one. He'll be digging sandcastles for that next little while. Might as well get his bucket and spade out instead of trying to use those rear tyres to dig his way out of the gravel. But I think we'll find that's his race over.
Yeah, well, it's hard enough to get out there anyway, let alone with the puncture, but Holm's doing what he needs to do at the moment. He's extending the gap to Salo, who is kind of sort of driving about and not really gaining or losing any time on Tolborg, who pulling away a little bit from Asbury, and Strana has dropped off the back of these, almost right on the back of Asbury earlier, falling off a little bit, and then a pretty big gap back to Hardwick and Richards, but both not driving for their normal teams this ride. Hardwick normally driving for Small Power, Richards normally the car that Hardwick's in right now, so they're playing shares, as David likes to say.
Yeah.
But they're
Ben
both doing
Hackerson,
well.
unfortunately, I just saw he's had 2 incidents now in the last lap, and I think he's
He's out.
he's called it a day. He's in the pits, retired, unfortunately for him.
Quite unfortunate for Ben. Started from the back of the grid, was hoping to move up. Unfortunately, has a couple of instants line. That's thwarted his attempt to move up the. Back at the front now. It's like Tolborg and Asbury closing the style of this lap. Gap is apparently up on the fastest lap of the race as Tolborg now closes the gap down from 1.6 seconds to 0.6 of a second. Asbury and Strani improve about the same amount, and Hardwick and Richards still. Hardwick, if anything, pulling away a little bit.
Kevin
from
Angwin's
Richards.
gone off. Sorry to interrupt you there, Mike, but Angwin had a big moment there, go on the
18th.
exit of the flip-flop there, and Victor Silva has also spun on the exit of the final corner, Recaro corner there, so little
Really
few
unfortunate for
dramas
Victor.
there for both of those drivers. There's a great save there from Angwin to keep out of the wall at the flip-flop, because it's very easy to go straight to the tyre barrier there, as I know from previous experience driving around this racetrack. But hopefully they'll both keep it all together as well. But Visa Muller is not one who's keeping it all together. He's gone off. And he's just left his teammate Avagent go past. So those two THR cars are stuck together.
Well, and Yunt's going sideways as well. They both seem to be a bit flustered or so. They need to just calm themselves down and hit their marks again. Otherwise, they're going to both go off, as neither of them going to make it to the apex here. So closer than I expected, but they're just going to be losing time doing that.
And behind them, a good three-car battle as well. Ivan Navarro doing a good job in P10
Navarro in
at the
10th.
moment. He's doing a great job at the moment. It's happening
Behind
as well
that
with
three-car
his,
battle, there's another three-car battle.
with
There's
his
now
controller problems as well.
Palm.
Doing a good job in 11th place as things stands. And if he keeps it clean, he'll most likely be in the top 10 as the race progresses, both of these drivers. With Nilsson just behind in 12th.
Oh, Ockerclint round, he's 14th. He's just about held it, but he's going to be lucky if he doesn't lose a place to Palm here. Palm on the inside. Yep, through he goes. Ockerclint sensibly just lets Palm go without choosing to fight it, losing them both time. He'll going to get that position back. Just lost it on the exit of turn 1. Of turn 2, my mistake. But yeah, Palm just jumping in the car. He didn't make it for race 1 like he hoped he would be able to. So his first real laps of this car and track were in qualifying. When I say laps, he only managed one of them, so a great job to be running up in 14th at the moment, YTF1. He, of course, partnering Harley Hamlet for the Bathurst race in 2 weeks. So Palm out here getting some experience in racing these cars against this grid. So hopefully we can see that experience be put to good use in a couple of weeks.
Oh, I just had a little bit of a moment there myself. I just saw Jesper go on 2 wheels to go through the Coca-Cola corner at the start of lap. Asbury now all over the back of Jesper Torborg is there, back for that final podium spot in these early stages of the race.
Yeah, well, Tolborg needs a podium really to kind of damage control what Strani gained on him in race 1, but Asbury wants the podium not only for High Speed's battle, but for his personal battle for 7th in the championship, and to add another to his collection of podiums, having scored one all the way back at Manfield in race 1, I believe, after Monroe spun off. But all of these guys just need to clean it on the road, otherwise they're going to have no chance. And great people have been falling at this event so far. You know, one mistake could find you in the wall. Speaking of mistakes, Van Navarro makes a small one through the flip-flop, and Rob Taplin right in the back of him, that's for 10th and 11th. Nilsson's still there in 12th. But Taplin was right on the rear bumper of Navarro, and Ivan lifted out a little bit. Made a small error, Taplin slowed up to compensate and not run into
Hardwick,
it.
sorry to interrupt you there, Mike, but Oscar Hardwick's gone off at turn 1. That's
Through goes Jan.
seeing how it's happened, just how it happened, and he just spun it. He must have hit the grass and spun. He's now down in P8.
Taplin and Navarro, 10th and 11th, still side by side. Navarro retains his 10th place, but by no means Taplin just going to fall away. Is Taplin right back on the attack, and in fact he's got a small overlap when they come onto the bridge. It's not really where you want to pass anyone, because inside of the bridge is almost like a magnet. When you go by too wide, someone's going to hit it. And Nilsson's sensibly just staying and watching these two and trying to pick his point to mistake behind, Rajal starting to actually gain a little bit on this battle, and he's bringing Palm with him. And Ockerclinth kind of holding station 15th, and then the battle for 16th between Lee Bear, the recovering Angwin, and the recovering Lennon. So the Ford Falcons, all driving for all different teams. They're going to have another 20-something laps to try and separate themselves, but I'm sure they'll all be having fun doing it. Behind you got Victor Silva, Chris Williamson, and Andreas Waters also going. There was a position change somewhere. I believe that was all Taplin and Navarro side by side, and Hardwick and Yunt side by side. Hardwick trying to drive around the outside of Yunt. Yunt's going to run wide. Hardwick's going to go up the inside. That's onto the bridge. Don't do it here. Don't do it here. And they both get through it somehow. Hardwick, oh, he's sideways. Yunt's clipped the back of him, and Riesemann is now trying to get onto the back of this battle. But one more mistake like that from either Hardwick and Yunt could end in disaster at this point.
Yeah, I watched that battle between Hardwick and Yunt from turn 1, and they swapped positions 3 or 4 times doing so. So it's great to see punch and counter punch there from Hardwick and Yunt there, as Robert Wiesemann is tagging along the back of them now. So those 2 THR cars still tied together pretty much for the whole of this event. As and then Navarro a bit further back, but rounding out the top 10. As Taplin's now actually trying to drive around the outside of Navarro. That's a risky move. And they set a little bit of contact there between Navarro and Taplin, but they get through nice and safely. And that battle's going to run on and on until at least the pit stops, I would have imagined.
Back up towards the front. Alo is closed in on top. Oh, sorry, back to 10th and 11th. Taplin contact. Off
and
goes
Navarro's
Navarro.
gone off. Almost off there. As Taplin was down the inside of Navarro there after the hairpin.
I think Taplin's trying to let Navarro through, but Navarro's too busy looking at what Anders Nilsson's doing, and Navarro gets borked by Taplin, slowing down for him. Through goes Nilsson, taking advantage of a great opportunity that was just given to him on a silver platter, really. Now I'm going to assume Taplin's going to be a bit confused about what to do, because he's trying to let Navarro pass, but obviously doesn't want to cede the position to Nilsson, so I know how this is going to resolve, because Virgil, Palm and Ockerclinth have all joined onto this, making it a 6-car battle for 10th place. Oh, Wiesemuller from 9th, he's almost off in turn 1. He entered it about 90 degrees to the apex. I was sure he was going to bin it into the gravel, but great job to hold it from Robert. He was right on the back of David Yunt and Oscar Hardwick, but obviously he's not going to be anymore. He's going to have lost maybe half a second, 6 tenths, 7 tenths or so. Palm ran the outside of... oh, no, sorry, he's made a mistake. Trying to hold on around the outside of Ockerclinth, but as he does so, Palm made a small mistake there that allowed Ockerclinth up the inside, but hopefully, for this battle's sake, they won't make too many mistakes, and it will keep it with 6 cars having a nice little battle.
Oh, and the first pit stops Danny Asprey makes the early pit stop, so trying to get the undercut on the cars in front of him. Strachan was right behind him as they entered the pit, so Asprey making the first tactical move of this 35-lap race.
Of course, Asprey was the one of the last ones to pit in race 1, and he paid for it dearly by skating straight off in turn 1 with slightly worn tyres. He's going to come out in 15th place easily, just behind this big battle behind Ockerclinth. In fact, not easily. Lee Bear is just coming up past the pit lane now as Lennon's going to pit. Asprey must have hit the wrong button, or so he has his lights on now. So either he's an angry American, or he's a American that's pushed the wrong button. We'll have to wait and find out. But the last time someone pushed the wrong button in the pit lane was Oscar Hardwick back in Fuji, who hit his lights instead of his limiter and got a drive-through for it. So hopefully Danny hasn't made the same mistake. But we'll find out in about half a lap's time from him. But just up in front, Taplin's made a mistake and Nilsson's driven up the inside of him. That's for 9th and 10th at the moment. But Nilsson's driven inside him and off the track. Through goes Taplin, through goes Navarro. Palm's looking to capitalise, having just passed Rajal, and he does so. 2 wide through the flip-flop. That was great driving from all of them to stay out of contact. And Virgil now looking for his chance to pass Nilsson. And then it'll be the 2 Optimums bringing up the rear of this train. But Virgil's not through yet, but he's going to have a run into turn 1. And I expect he'll look inside. He's looking to the outside. It's just up in front. That's Palm looking at Navarro. pulls out of it.
Sorry to interrupt.
Vijal
Robert
drives
Wiesemuller's
round
gone off
Nilsson.
into the gravel. Robert Wiesemuller's gone off into the gravel.
Oh yes, he has. He's
Just
pointing
in
the
front of
wrong
him.
way.
And
That's going to take him a while to get out of. Going to rejoin easily behind Liebherr. Through goes Kenny in the waters. But Rob, that's going to ruin his race, having gone off there.
he's going to rejoin
Have a look at my own
P16.
replay and see if he was helped round or not. No, he wasn't. But it was already a YTF1 off when he went off, so Chris Williamson has also been off there as well, since it wasn't Palm.
And it's a traffic jam in the pits as all the leaders come into Holm, Salo and Tolbrook, and also Eric
Stanley.
Strana pits. So Matt Richards is going to lead this race temporarily for at least all the big guns in the pits as we speak, and see if it's going to. I'm going to keep an eye on that and see if there's any changes happening as the pit stops unfold. But
Next
top
group
Britain
coming
being
past.
Richards, Oscar Hardwick, and David Junt as
Nilsson
Holm.
pits.
And side by side, here we go between Salo and Tolbrook as they come out of the pit lane. Looks like Salo's going to get
Speaking of
off
side
the
by side,
limiter.
Palm looking at the inside of Navarro, pulled out of it, but the lead group is now going to be in this battle for 10th. So the Salo comes out in 10th, Tolborg 11th, Asbury's right with them in 12th,
Oh,
Starnet
contact
13th.
between Palm and Navarro as they go off into the gravel with turn 2. That let a few of the leaders pass. But that's a disaster for Navarro and Martin Palm there. I think Palm's got away with it in many respects.
I think
Not sure if
he went off a little bit and slowed down to let Ivan catch back up a touch, but obviously now he has Eric Strana right behind him, so can't be
and
just
Navarro's off
blatantly
again.
slowing down.
Navarro's gone off again. He's really suffered because of that.
Van's got
about
a
4 or
large
5
dent in
places.
his back of his car. That could be having a handling issue right there, as Roy Vijal all over the place just ahead. The Hardwick pit from third. Lennon's in the wall coming under the bridge. Richards just drives past, so fortunate from Lennon, but Hardwick pits. Taplin in the pits. Oh, Taplin's messed up the entry. He's hit the wall. Vijal's in as well, as is Rob. That's Chris Williamson, sorry. For a minute I thought it was Martin Palm, but Navarro in as well, as is Liebherr. I assume Wiesemuller will head into the pits as well, since after his off. And we'll see now, yep, in goes Wiesemuller. Ockerklint, Salo, Tolborg, Asbury, all together. Salo trying to force his way past Ockerklint. Ockerklint's driving around. He's on a no-stop strategy, so this is for position. So Ockerklint has played that card to perfection and may have won the race for Adrian Holm as long as Holm doesn't mess this up. Because Salo was in second and is now down in 5th and stuck behind Ockerklint as Richards pits. But also behind Salo is Tolborg and Asbury. Strana's not too far back, and I assume Richards will come out somewhere in the vicinity of this lot, as David Junt keeps going to lead the race and puts a lap on his teammate Robert Wiesemuller, but Junt's gone off! Junt's gone off, he's sideways, he's in the gravel in turn 1, the curse of the leader! He's off! He's back on again though, he's going to have lost a lot of time. Holm with the fastest lap is chasing him down, although Junt has to pit still. Hardwick, Tolborg trying to go up the inside of Salo, and Asbury's off! Asbury's off again! He's in the gravel too, he's kept it on the fringes and just got straight out, but Palm's gone past into 7th. So if Palm's on the no-stop, this could be a good point to him by TF1 as well. And Salo around the outside of Ockerklint, Tolborg's right there as well, Strane right behind. But Ockerklint has got worn tyres. Tolborg needs to use this to his advantage and try and break away from Strane as much as possible. And through Tolborg goes, and Ockerklint's run wide. Strane's looking to get the pair of them as they're still side by side. Strane looking for the inside of Tolborg, but Tolborg's got the inside of the next 2 corners. Trying to run away before they get through and catch him, but Tolborg's now really defensive as they go through the flip-flop against Strane. Will Strane try to dive into the final corner? I don't think he will, but Ockerklint off the track there. Junt pits is... Oh, Holm's in the pits! Holm's in the pits! That could be a drive-through penalty, so again, we have spoken too soon as Rasmus Salo now leads the race on merit. So 101 lead their first laps of the season, and it's not even through funny pit stop strategies, as Holm does indeed have a drive-through. He comes out behind Richards. Junt's in the pits as well. Here comes Hardwick, who's going to jump Junt, almost certainly. Yep, through he goes. Junt's going to come out in 10th, but the battle behind is really split up. Wiesemuller's down to 18th after that mistake that he made. But at the front, Rasmus Salo, 0.6 of a second ahead of Tolborg and Strane. This is going to be a very interesting end to the race. Is Salo going to pick up the first win for someone who isn't Toborg, Strane, and Holm? Who knows? That is true. I can't remember Lewis McGlady informing us that with this mistake from Andrew and Holm, it's pretty much put him out of the championship. He needs a miracle now to get back into it. But Ockerclint still running fourth. Very closing in on Rasmus Salo. But Asbury looking to the inside of Jonathan Ockerclint in turn 1 doesn't even bother to look. He's trying to nuzzle up the inside for turn 2. Contact. Ockerclint holds it, Asbury holds it as well. But Martin Palm, 6th place, very well done. Oh, he gets sideways. Rich is going to have an opportunity to get past here, and he's too far back. Richards doesn't capitalise on the opportunity he's going to get, and Holm is going to be closing these guys down at a rate of knots.
Well, Matt should get past Martin Palm, obviously, on the fresher tyres, and of course, Ockerclint and Palm will be gradually dropping back.
Through goes Richards.
Now does go past Martin Palm there, so I think Martin Palm has now got Adrian Holm behind him now, so I think Martin Palm should still finish in the top 10 as things stand. He'll drop back further and further, I think, but he's still got a good chance of finishing in that top 10, as, of course, is Jonathan Ockerclint. But now we've got Jesper
right
Tolberg closing right onto the back.
Asbury's turned Ockerclint around, coming out the final corner. Ockerclint saved by Asbury's car, but they're going to lose a lot of time to Richards. Asbury does get up into 4th, albeit through a bit of an odd way, but Ockerclint's trying to attack back, but he's not going to have the tyres for it. He's going to be past Richards, and Holmes off. Holm off in turn 1, he's into the gravel. Holmes really letting that drive-through get to him. He's in 7th. Oscar Hardwick's going past, and look out for the waters under the bridge! Holm just about misses the wall himself. Andreas Wouters is stationary. Don't move, Andreas! Now the track's clear. Can move as Martin Palm has pitted. He's going to come out probably in 15th place ahead of Wiesenmuller. As he does. He's behind Kenny Liebert, who's going to be looking to score points in the other waters at the moment, behind Navarro. But now it's all calming down a little bit. Let's look back at the front as Tolborg, within 0.4 of a second of Rasmus Salo. In fact, sorry, just over 0.4 of a second away from Rasmus Salo. This win is by no means Salo's yet, but if Race 1 tells us anything that Strane is going to win, Tolborg gets 2 wheels off and going to miss the apex completely. And he's going to lose time to Strane. And Strane is going to be right on the back of Jesper for very long, I'd imagine, if those little mistakes keep coming in. As much as they are uncharacteristic, they are happening. Lost Roy Virgil and Andreas Waters in the last couple of laps. It's unfortunate for them.
That happened a couple of laps ago. Martin Palm actually did make a pit stop, so my prediction of him being in the top 10. And she made a pit stop just a lap after, so he's actually still in the points in 15th place, which is still a great job from the lack of practice he had coming into race 2. But absolutely brilliant stuff from him. He's no slouch, of course, but having not spent too much time in the car, he's done a great job. And looking up through the field, I can't see. Oh, it's probably Asbury and Matt Richards there having a close little battle, but obviously at the front now being Salo.
Oh, sorry, that was Holm on a lap car, my mistake. Holm on silver, looking to lap him, but Tolborg already closing back in on Salo. I was just flicking down the field, I noticed that Gary Lennon's had a crash, and if anybody knows about Leno's pond, they'll be in for a bit of a surprise as Leno's stuck in his own pond. He's down in 19th place. That car's not going to be able to get out of there, but he's in there with no front end, so fortunately that looks like it could be the end of the race for Gary Lennon. So bit of an ironic place to end it, but hopefully he'll be having some better luck for Bathurst.
Time for Lennon to get his swimming trunks out, I think, and possibly have a little bit of fishing there, but get a fishing rod out.
The battle for the lead, Salo seems to be trying to run away as much as he can, and I've been in Salo's position. Obviously Jesper wasn't this close, but you think that you're driving as fast as you can, and then you'll just be looking, and it'll just be a tenth closer. You know, every sector, a tenth closer, and that doesn't even look like a tenth of a second gap at the moment between Salo and Tolborg. Rana is right behind as well, so how this pans out. Wiesemuller behind him is a lap down after making a mistake. But Salo covering the inside very well from Talborg. It was 2/10 of a second at the last sector. Talborg's looking to try and get cut underneath Salo. There's a change of position further back. It's Asbury and Richards passing each other, is it? No, that was... Wait, who was that? That was Asbury lagging out. Apologies. And being back into rightful position. There's further back in the points, battling for 14th and 15th, Kenny Liebert and Martin Palm. Both quite new to these cars. Palm going to look down to the inside into one. Liebert's going to overshoot. No, he isn't. Sorry, Palm backed out of it. That battle's still going to be raging on, and they'll catch up on Navarro. That far in front of them.
Rasmus Salas pulled away a little bit from Talborg, and I think Strong's closed up to the back of Talborg here, so the pressure.
6th and 7th, sorry. Hardwick driving around the outside of Ockerclint. If he can make that stick, that'd be impressive. But yeah, these two have history from Sandown, with Ockerclint unintentionally blocking Hardwick. Hardwick was a lap ahead of him, battling for a podium, and Hardwick's going to try and hold it around the outside. Indeed, he does. Very well done there from Oscar Hardwick, moving himself up into 6th place and capitalising on the misfortunes of like Lewis Travis and Janko Glavak. But in front of him, in 5th and 4th, Danny Asbury has Matt Richards all over the back of him. Richards is closed up over the last laps or so. But even closer than those two, Strane right on the back of Jesper Talborg. Salo needs a break. Salo needs just to take this breath that he's been given and run with it. Because Talborg right has Strane right underneath his rear wing. These two are battling for a championship. They're not going to be doing anything stupid, so Salo needs to take the time to run away.
That's right, yes, now I see Matt Richards closing up to the back of Asbury down this straight, but not. Well, we might have a little opportunity to dive down the inside. There's
contact
between them.
And he's going round.
Between them,
Yes.
Asbury catches the slide pretty well there, but Matt's now trying to do the switch back down the inside here of the hairpin now. He's back down the inside.
And he's giving him room.
Quite going to do it this time around, but Asbury getting a little bit of a sweat on, put it mildly. Now that he knows that Matt is definitely
Change of
there,
position.
that's for sure.
Ockerclint drops down to 9th, passed by Yunt and Holm. Ockerclint, that one-stop strategy, if his tyres can hold on, he has got just over 16 seconds back to 10th place Rob Taplin, so that one-stop was a very good call. These tyres do drop off, but if he has enough life in them to get them, maybe 3 or 4 laps without losing a great deal of time, this could be a 9th place heading Jonathan's way.
And Davidson also applying some real pressure on the back of Adrian Holmes' car now.
Speaking of pressure, apologies David, look at the battle for the lead. Salo pulled away a little bit through turn 1, but these three were nose to tail just a couple of corners ago. There's 9/10 covering the three of them. Doesn't look like 9/10 anymore, but it was 9/10 at the last split. Salo just needs to drive basically the shortest line around this track and just try and defend from Talborg. And if he defends from Talborg, I don't see Strani doing anything like trying to lunge past both of them in turn 1 or anything like that, because it's Strani who has a championship to lose at this point. Because he is ahead of Talborg, the gap will be extended from 6 points to maybe something like 14 or 13, so going into Bathurst, it gives Strani the opportunity to come 3rd if Jesper wins and still win the championship, if it finishes like this. So if I was Eric, I would just try and stay within the picture rather than attacking for 2nd or 1st at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm not Eric Strani, he's going to do what he wants.
In the first race, as we saw him, just staying, keeping the gap between the top two and then capitalising on Jesper's mistake of hitting Adrian in the first race. So history might repeat itself, but for the race's benefit, I certainly hope it doesn't. But let's hope it's just a nice, fair fight. And Sala's doing a great job at the moment, holding on to that lead. With Jesper obviously applying the pressure, like he did in the first race, with Adrian being ahead of him at the time.
little bit further back, there's still battles going on. 10th and 11th, that's Taplin versus Nilsson. That's still going on. These two champions are constant top 10 finishers each in their own right, and there's been an overtake that's... oh no, that was Angwin lagging out or so. No, it's not, it's Ockerclint who's missed a sector split, so hopefully that'll put him back where he should be. That's the next time in line, which... now... Oh, 5th and 4th, Richards to the inside of Asbury. Asbury cuts across his nose to cover him off. Richards locks up under braking, squirms. Asbury gets the tail out. Needs to be careful between these two because Asbury's getting his tail out through there anyway, and the smallest contact could send him round.
That's right, they have been getting very close in the past few laps, and I thought there might be a little bit of contact there at turn 1, and indeed there as well, but luckily they got away with it. But these two have been really, really competitive all through this second race here, and it's been great to watch.
Well, for the lead, Tolborg looks like he'll be setting up a pass into the final corner. Will gets a bit out of shape for the flip-flop, decides better against it, but that gap is not getting any bigger or any smaller, so who knows, maybe Salo, he has 4 laps to go, 5 laps to go. 4 laps to go, just to hold on to this lead. Doesn't matter how much he wins by, could be win by an inch or a mile and wins a win. And then it'll be one-on-one's first win in this series, and also Rasmus Salo's first. But he's got the championship 1 and 2 right behind him. 0.6 of a second separating the three of them. Asbury's off in turn 1. Was that contact with Richards? I'll have a quick look on my own screen. It was, I believe, it's a bit laggy, but I believe that was contact between Asbury and Richards, and now Hardwick's trying to get by. And Holmes also in the gravel in turn 1.
Also.
Yeah, Ockerclint's not going to be able to pass him because he's nowhere near him, but everyone's falling apart in the last couple of laps. Tolborg closer to Salo this time than he was last time. Lifts off a bit on the entry to the flip-flop. Not sure why. Salo keeps his foot flat, but maybe Tolborg's tyres are starting to wear off a little bit more than Salo's are, for example. Brano robs the wall on the exit there. There's Hardwick in 6th all over the back of Asbury, who's just rejoined. Hardwick trying to get Asbury before he gets back into his rhythm. Everybody else starting to spread out. Palm actually closing on Navarro for 13th, but I'm not sure that that position will change the rest of the race. It's all down to the battle for the lead now. Salo, Tolborg and Strane nose to tail again. 6 temps covering the 3 of them at the last split. Can Salo do it for a one-on-one? I know Tommy Oyala will be incredibly ecstatic as it is, and even more so when if his driver wins this race, because I believe it'll be one-on-one's first win in sim racing.
Yeah, I
Not
believe
just
that's
at top
also
step.
accurate. Yes, and it sounds obvious, and it's very easy for me to say from here. But as long as Salo keeps his lines, as he has in all race, then he should be absolutely fine and should get his first race.
Got a little bit of traffic to deal with.
And Ockerclips had a spin at turn 1 as well. I've just seen just caught the end of that. Just seen rejoin. He's down in P12.
12.
Just
But
behind
no
Kevin
stop
Edwards.
strategy. Not paying out. Well, Hardwick's passed Asbury and he's left him a little bit of a gap, but Salo's out of shape. Tolborg looking to go around the outside into turn 3. Granite is there, so Tolborg needs to be aware of that. They have Silva and Lee Bear. Lee Bear on his own in 15th, Silva on his own in 17th. Silva takes the alternate chicane, so good job from him to get out of the way. But these guys now coming round. I believe there's a lap and a half to go. If Salo can hold on. Now the finish line is only one more lap, and then it'll be a historic victory because it'll be Rasmus Salo's first win in Top Step. It'll be one-on-one's first win in Top Step. It'll be the first time in Top Step that the winner of race 1 hasn't won race 2. Unfortunately, Jonathan Ockercliffe now dropping down again has been passed by Navarro for 12th and 13th, but the battle for the lead, Tolborg needs to really get a slipstream and try to the inside to turn 1, which he's doing so. Salo's coming to cover. Tolborg's looking to go around the outside. There's 1 lap to go. None of them's going to push too hard into turn 1. Hopefully, Salo are all going to miss the apex. Strane contact with Tolborg. Strane was the only one of those 3 who made the apex. Salo's got a little bit of a gap. That may be enough. It's not really, actually. Tolborg's right back on on the attack at the next braking zone. Salo runs fast around here than Tolborg, so if Tolborg could cut back inside, then he could maybe have a shot, but he doesn't. He elects to go for a fast way through as Salo gets sideways, Tolborg gets a fractional overlap. Salo's going to cut across, no harm done there, but Tolborg, only really opportunity now is the last corner. He needs to have a better run through the flip-flop and then be later on the brakes than Salo. Salo keeps foot absolutely flat through here, so does Tolborg this time. Normally Tolborg lifts. Will anyone try and overtake on anybody else? No. Salo's got an earlier apex, Tolborg went for the tighter run out. Tolborg's got an overlap. Who's going to win? It's going to be Rasmus Salo from Jesper Tolborg and Erik Strane. As close as that, 0.2 of a second, breaking the top 3. Wow.
Very, very close finish there, because Matt Richards now crossed the line in 4th place. He'll be very happy with that.
Asbury in 6th. David Junt all over the back of him. Asbury and Junt, these two championship position rivals. Asbury's going to get him, but just. Asbury 6th, but that lead battle, wow.
That was a fantastic to finish off the sprint races we're going to have this season. What great preparation this has been for Bathurst in 2 weeks' time. I hope this carries over for the 500-kilometre race that we will have at Bathurst. There's been some fantastic racing this evening, but a big congratulations to Rasmus Salo and to 1&1 for achieving their first sim racing victories.
Palmer Navarro just pips Palm to the line. That's 12th and 13th, but I'm not reading out the message that 1&1 manager Tommy Oyala has sent me, because that just wouldn't be appropriate, but rest assured he is very happy, as I guess Martin Palm will be and Kenny Lever, because they've both brought home points in their debut event, as Jonathan Ockerklint's going to be the last person across the line. In fact, he has already finished, so that's going to be that for race 2 of this event. Rasmus Salo takes the win, breaks the streak of double winners. Tolborg 2nd, Erik Strane though will have pulled out a lead on his championship over this event as a whole. Maybe lose 1 or 2 points from race 2, but obviously he gained a lot in race 1.
That's correct.
Hopefully we can see if we can get some drivers for interviews now. While we wait for the drivers to drop down, we remind you that the next round of the Top Step, the SRP Top Step V8 series, is going to Mike Panorama at Bathurst for a 500-kilometer race. Each driver is going to have a co-driver sharing their car with them, and the grid has been reopened. So, again, anyone and their friend wants to come and try their luck against these guys, feel free to.
That's right. It's going to be, all I know is, I mean, I'll be there in 2 weeks' time. I know it's going to be a fantastic event all round, and obviously every that's one thing I've never done is done a Bathurst race. I perhaps should do sometime in the future, but it's always very special. No matter what the cars, no matter who drives in it, it's always a fantastic spectacle, and I know that people are going to be putting hundreds and hundreds of laps of practice for this event, and it's going to be spectacular to say the least.
Yeah, definitely, and one man hoping that Bathurst will go well for him is race 1 winner Erik Strane. Congratulations on the win in the race 1 and the podium in race 2. Extended your championship lead. Got to be happy about that.
Yeah, race 1 went better than I thought. So yeah, I'm definitely pleased with how the event went overall.
All right, well done. We know you're with Tom Ely for Bathurst. Have you got high expectations, maybe for a good result at Bathurst? And almost certainly you must be aiming for the championship.
Yeah. I'm not sure what to expect. We were gonna try to get Tom to do this race actually, but he couldn't because he was at work. So, and he hasn't driven these since, I don't know, a long time ago. So, luckily, hopefully we can do quite a bit of practice and try to get him up to speed, and just maybe not just raw speed, but as long as we have consistency and it doesn't crash, then that's pretty much all I'm after.
Alright, cool. Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Thank you.
Next, I believe we have Danny Asbury. You here, Danny?
I'm here.
First things first. Do you have any real comments about race 1? You take the lead through the pit stop phase, and instantly we see you off in turn 1. Any reason that happened, or was that just an unfortunate mistake?
Yeah, just a lack of practice. I mean, I was fine the first 10 laps, but I never really tested the car. Once it gets deeper into the stint, about, I guess what, that was lap, I think 17, 18, and I just completely didn't know how the car was going to react, then went straight off. And I did that, I wound up doing that about 3 times, man. So to walk away with 6 out that race, I was actually happy with, because I think I went off again even in the latter half of that race there.
Yeah, your teammate Janko Glavak got second in the end in race 2. You obviously brought home a couple of consistent points finishes. High-speed racing, they've got to be happy about that when it comes to the team's championship.
I mean, me and Yanko, we've been consistently, putting on results for high speed. So our team boss, David Nannon, nothing to complain about, I would assume. But yeah, Yanko did really well, especially there in race 2, like you said, to get podium. I felt podium was on the cards. I was in a fight with, I believe, Salo, Tallberg, Strana. Just couldn't keep the car on the road. As I went off again, I think once those guys came out the pits.
Well, unfortunate there, but we're going to be seeing you in Bathurst for 2 weeks. Not sure who you're going to be with yet. Don't know when that's going to be announced, but we can rest assured that you'll be on the grid, I expect, yeah?
Well, I'm hoping to. Obviously, that's pretty big race points-wise, so I definitely need that for my champ to get up as high as I can in the standings. But like you said, Mike, not too sure who I'm going to be driving with at this moment in time, but hopefully we'll get this sorted within the next week or so.
Alright, cool. Well, we'll see you then. Next is Matt Richards. Matt, kind of a late-minute signing for Airstream. Some pretty good results. How are your feelings through that race?
Pretty good. I mean, obviously coming in literally today because John couldn't make the race was a bit tough, so I could get the setup ready. And luckily, I had something from before, so I just got on with that, and Oscar helped me with that as well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the results. I'm really sorry for what happened with Danny in race 2, but it's just like if you're going into the turn 1 kink side by side, you've got to leave a little bit of room, and if I get a penalty for it, then I'll accept that because it is kind of my fault, but still.
Well, unfortunate for that. Yeah, like Danny, we don't know if you're going to be doing Bathurst, so we expect to see you in 2 weeks.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm not quite sure who I'm teaming up with yet, but Bathurst is kind of a special event, so I really would like to do that race.
All right, wicked. Well, we'll see you then.
Cheers.
Right, next we have Oscar Hardwick.
Hi.
Oscar, can you, before the event, you had some unkind things to say about the track? You still having the same feeling about it?
I'm still happy it's a car park now. Yes. The track's rubbish. I mean, I was talking to Matt in the race, and she's like, "It's a procession, really, isn't it?" It's like, well, yeah. Like, passing is an absolute chore, and the track itself. I mean, you've got all this stuff talking about cutting, and it just annoying as it gets. And I hadn't done any practice and didn't have any pace, so the 5th position in race 2 was literally down to other people crashing and spinning. I mean, Holm, I think I saw spin 3 different times into turn 1. So obviously, I don't know, either fatigue or pressure getting to certain people in that race. Although I can't speak. Race 1, I decided to straight line the first kink as well, and that went really well for me.
Well, again, I'm pretty sure we could be seeing you at Bathurst. So, see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And don't expect anything from me at Bathurst. I do still struggle with these cars. I just keep stumbling into good finishes. It's a complete lie.
Alright, well, we'll see you then. Next we have David Yunt. David, are you there?
Yes.
Are you how do you find that event? We saw you running inside the top 10 for pretty much all of it. Good points for yourself and for THR, and they're back for second in the team's championship. Yeah, how did that go for you?
True. It was much better than Townsville, because I admit Townsville that was just a big mistake on my side. But yeah, came a bit more training for this track here, and even though I did training, I just felt a bit down because I couldn't really get going, because I I saw other people doing like 3 or 5 tenths per qualifying or race lap quicker, so I thought, well, gonna take the points, but I think that's as much as I'm gonna do. But well, qualifying, I had to rush back from dinner, and then I said 1 lap, and it was good enough for top 10. And through some fighting in midfield and getting through something, I managed to get the top 7, which is quite good for my feelings about the track. And the second race, I think I did my PB, but wasn't good enough to keep top 10 place, so I started 12th. And then I had some good battling, some good driving together with Robert until he went off. And I was looking good for, well, battling with Oscar. Then I made a mistake just before my pit stop, went off, lost about 3-4 seconds. And looking at the end of the race, I think that cost me 5th place because Oscar was about 2-3 seconds ahead and Danny just ahead. I just tried too hard and I think I wasted my tires. Just 1 lap, not enough to catch him. But 2 7 places and thankfully not 8 because everyone knows Diont is doing 8 places. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that result.
All right, well, yeah, good job on that, and good job bringing the car home with some points. And I'm fairly sure again we'll see you in 2 weeks for the 500 kilometers of Bathurst. Is it disclosed yet who you were teaming up with for that, or is that still a mystery?
I think it's not a mystery, or I think it's not a secret, but I think I always do better at Bathurst. In my car somewhere else driving V8s, I was only on the podium at Bathurst 2 times. And I'm probably gonna think that attacking for that race again because I kind of the endurance guy that does well at such tracks. So probably me and I think Tommy Ochoa will probably drive with me. Yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Next we have David's teammate, Robert Wiesemuller. Rob, we saw you have a lot of fair amount of pace this evening. Maybe you made a couple of mistakes. So are you happy with the results that you achieved?
Not really. Not really. But yeah, it was quite interesting. The first race was alright. I think I finished 8th or 9th. I can't really remember. But I was in the top 10, so it was pretty good. And the second race, I had a little accident in the second corner, and it just completely put me off. And yeah, didn't finish in the points.
Alright. Well, again, you're part of the THR group. Fairly sure we're going to be seeing you at Bathurst. Same question as with David Yunt. Is it disclosed who you're going to be driving with yet?
Yeah, I will drive with Ivan. And I will switch back to the Sharkskins team for Bathurst.
Alright, nice. Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Yep.
And speaking of Ivan Navarro, Ivan, are you here?
Yeah, hi Mike.
Hi, are you impressed with your results from this evening?
Yeah, I would have been more impressed if I could have seen how I could end the first race. The disconnect was pretty depressing.
Yeah. It's still a good result in race 2 if my memory serves me correct. That's your best result this season.
Yeah, it is. I think I could have had maybe 1 position better, but there was a little contact at turn 4, I believe, and put me in the sand for a little bit, and cars got past. But I was happy with my pace. My laps were consistent, and I didn't go off on my own, so that was great. And yeah, ended up in a 12, so very happy.
Alright, cool. Well, obviously you're teaming up with Rob, as we've just found out, so best of luck and see you in 2 weeks for Bathurst.
Thanks.
So, David, interesting racing this evening. Very close battles in both races. What are your thoughts on it?
Wow, I tell you what, it's a very interesting evening indeed. I thought we saw some critical mistakes from certain people, where even some at the very front of the field. We saw Jesper have an incident, Holm have incidents in the second race. You know, so we did read a lot into tonight, and I think going into Bathurst, obviously, a lot of people will obviously put a lot of preparation into that because, as I said earlier, it's a special event. No matter how many no matter who does the first event, you know, it's always a special occasion. So I'm looking forward to it immensely. I just hope everyone brings their best game and rolls out the punches, so to speak, and everyone has a great event. And hopefully, us viewers will have a fantastic evening in 2 weeks' time, for hopefully watching a fantastic motor race.
I'm sure we will. And again, a reminder that Bathurst, the grid is reopened again. So if you or anyone you know be interested in teaming up and racing Bathurst, and head over to www.simracingpro.com and follow the instructions on how to sign up and register for Bathurst, and maybe some of their other leagues as well, such as the Game Stock Car Mini Challenge and the Flat 6 Cup. And obviously in the future, the next league that Top Step will be running is a Super GT 500 league. The calendar is yet to be confirmed, but we can tell you that the league will be starting late July, early August. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. But yeah, until Bathurst in 2 weeks. From David Carter, I'm Mike Bell. We'll see you next time.